Alrighty. Board members, we're good. In that case, I would like to call to order the April 6, 2026 Committee of the Whole Regular Board Meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone joining us this evening, both in person and those joining remotely. The board held an executive session on March 31st regarding personnel, and prior to this meeting regarding personnel, safety, legal, and negotiations. Board members with the agenda before you, do you have any changes? All right, in that case, I would now like to call on Board Secretary Lynn Tressler to conduct a roll call of board members.
Dr. Anderson?
Here.
Dr. Bader?
Here.
Dr. Barlow?
Here.
Ms. Black?
Here.
Dr. Demo?
Here.
Ms. Demare?
Here.
Ms. Huff?
Here.
Dr. Lazon?
Present.
Dr. Miller?
Here. Thank you, Lynn. As we begin the month of April, I would like to take a moment to recognize two very important observances that hold deep meaning for our schools and for our community. April is Autism Acceptance Month. This is a time for us not only to raise awareness, but to actively foster understanding, inclusion, and respect for individuals on the autism spectrum. In our schools, we are committed to creating environments where every student feels valued, supported, and empowered to succeed. Autism acceptance means recognizing the unique strengths and perspectives of each individual and ensuring that all students have the opportunity to thrive. April is also National Child Abuse Prevention Month. This observance reminds us of our shared responsibility to protect the well-being of all children. Every child deserves to grow up in a safe, nurturing, and supportive environment. As educators, staff, families, and community members, we must remain vigilant, informed, and compassionate, working together to identify concerns, provide support, and advocate for those who may not be able to speak up for themselves. These two observances, though different, share a common purpose, and that's to ensure that every child is seen, respected, and protected within our community. I encourage our entire school community to take time this month to learn more, to engage in meaningful conversations, and to continue building a culture of care, inclusion, and safety for all of our students. At this time, I'd also like to recognize two retirees. Jan Rote will retire at the end of the 2025-2026 school year after 30 years with the district. Rote was hired in April 1997 as a custodian and worked with multiple schools during her career with the physical plant, including most recently at Mount Nittany Elementary School. She previously worked at the high school and the Park Forest Middle School. David Parmalee, our assistant director of the physical plant, called Rote a staple of operations and said she excelled in her duties of providing a clean, safe, and healthy environment for students and teachers. Her attention to detail was a welcome addition to what was often a bustling and busy environment during and after the school day, Parmalee said. Under her diligent direction as a group leader, her fellow custodians were supported in their work with clear and concise instructions to ensure all aspects of a building's needs were consistently met. The board thanks Jan for her service and wishes her all the best in retirement. Leslie Specht will retire at the end of the 2025-2026 school year following 27 years of service within the district. Specht held a number of roles over her career, most recently serving as a building secretary at the Ferguson Township Elementary. She was hired in September 1999 as an instructional and lunch paraprofessional and worked at Ferguson Township and Coral Street Elementary Schools. She continued her service as an instructional paraprofessional at Park Forest Elementary beginning in 2002 and later as a special education paraprofessional at Hauserville Elementary starting in 2013. In 2017, she transitioned into the role of attendance secretary at Ferguson Township Elementary, and in 2023 assumed her current position as building secretary. Kara Treweek, Ferguson Township Elementary principal, said Specht has left a lasting impact on the school community through both her exceptional organizational skills and her unwavering dedication to students, staff, and families. Beyond her technical expertise, Leslie is known for her reliability and her deep commitment to fostering a supportive and welcoming school environment, Traweek said. She's worked tirelessly to ensure that every member of the school community feels valued and cared for. The board thanks Leslie for her service and wishes her all the best in retirement. At this time, I'd now like to call on Mr. Johnson to share the superintendent update.
Thank you. To help our incoming kindergarten families prepare for the 26-27 school year, we are thrilled to host our Stellar Start SCASD Kindergarten Kickoff. This special event is for new families, prospective families, and incoming kindergarten students to showcase our stellar kindergarten program. We hope you can join us anytime from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April 21st, here at the Panorama Village Administrative Center. The annual free spring clothing drive at Easterly Parkway Elementary is on Saturday, April 18th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the school cafeteria and gymnasium. All students and families are welcome to shop for free. If you have items to contribute, we are collecting gently used clothing, coats, shoes, boots, and backpacks for all ages. Donations can be dropped off at the blue side of the school on Friday, April 17th from 3:10 p.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturday, April 18th from 3:10 to 7 p.m. We hope you can take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. I would like to congratulate State High, which was one of 12 high schools in the country, and the only one in Pennsylvania named a 2026 model school by the Center for Model Schools. The recognition highlights schools that are improving student outcomes in innovative ways and can show how their work can be replicated elsewhere. As part of the model school recognition, a team from State High will present the 34th Annual Model Schools Conference this summer, sharing their work with educators from across the country.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'd now like to call on Madison Judy from Delta, who will provide us with this evening's student update.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Students from Mount Nittany Middle School, State High, and Delta traveled to Lock Haven to complete in the Regional National History Day competition at Lock Haven University. Students worked hard researching historical topics and creating projects in the exhibit, documentary, performance, website, and paper categories. All middle school students and 2 high school students earned a medal and will have a chance to continue onto the state level competition. State High students Aaron Lee, Evan Zhang, and Aiden Lee tackled the 25-question FMA exam and earned a spot on the next round of exams to qualify for the U.S. Physics Olympiad team. The FMA exam is named after Newton's second law of motion and tests students on classical mechanics. Out of 6,682 students who challenged the exam, only 440 advanced to the second round in April, keeping their sights set on making the U.S. Physics Olympiad team.
All right. Thanks very much, Madison. Jackie, do you have any legislative updates for us?
Yeah, I've got a few items. So the Pennsylvania House and Senate are still currently in recess, but the House Education Committee has announced that it will be holding an informational meeting on Tuesday, April 14th at 9 a.m. to discuss educational tax credit programs, and then the following week, on April 21st, that same committee is going to be holding an informational meeting in Pittsburgh to discuss AI in K-12 education.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. So I'm sorry I won't be able to make it to Pittsburgh, but PSBA should be keeping us updated on that. A couple other PSBA specific notes. The first one I wanted to note is that the PSBA legislative platform proposal window is open. So if anyone is interested in making a proposal to that platform, they will be accepted through June 26th. And then we also are going to have to submit our delegates to the assembly meeting that happens every year. And so usually that had been part of the PSBA conference, but they're doing it differently this year. And it's actually going to be on November 7th, which I think will be after the conference. at Mountain View Middle School in Cumberland Valley. So I know there was a desire to make it a more central location after, so several years they had a hybrid delegate meeting. Last year it could only happen if you were in person, and they did it at Kalahari. But there were some complaints about how that was not central to everyone in the state. So this year they've moved it to an in-person and a more central location. So it's an hour and a half. If anyone wants to go, it'd be fun to carpool. So, and we can save gas. That's good. So if you're interested in going, we will need to elect a few members to go by June 26th. So
June 26th.
not at all pressing. We've sent 3 in the past.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So we could do 2 or 3.
I think we usually try to send 3.
Try to send 3. Okay. So, board members, if you might be interested, keep that on your radar, and I will ask around. Jesse, do you have any updates from COG?
Just a little bit. The last general forum meeting actually overlapped with one of our meetings. However, I did I did look at the agenda. There wasn't very much on it. Their meeting went from like 7 to 7:30. Please don't look too envious. But, and the one item that I noticed was that, like we did earlier that same month, they accepted the settlement of the solar power purchase agreement.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jesse. We now have time for public comment. Each individual will be allotted up to 3 minutes for items related to board business that are not a consent or action item this evening. For those items, public comment will be held just prior to voting on that item. I also wanted to make a note that we have 2 public comment periods. It looks like we have a lot of people here this evening. If you are here for a charter school reauthorization or something within our committee of the whole portion, our discussion portion, we will have a public comment after that. So if you don't mind reserving your comment for that, if you don't have to, but so with that, please state your name and where you reside in the district. Do we have anyone
Erin, do
registered?
you want to mention just like the benefit of waiting till to give your comment after is you'll be able to hear the discussion of the board and what actually questions are asked and things that transpire. So that's
Right.
why it's a suggestion. Just
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So do we have anyone? We have 2 registered this evening. We'll start with Julie Coder, if you'd like to come up. Do we have anyone registered online?
Well, these were they
Oh, okay.
but they said they would be in person.
Good evening. I just wanted to ask if it was okay, we kind of have an order of things that we wanted to present. Would it be okay if I yielded my turn and then went?
That's fine.
Is that
Yeah,
okay?
as long as it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Can we restart the,
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
Just go ahead. We'll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name's Eve Bellinger, and I reside in Park Forest. We are here largely to speak about a clear and correctable inequity within our district. In July 2025, Delta transitioned from an alternative program to a formally recognized school within SCASD. However, despite this transition, Delta does not currently offer a comprehensive music program. While there is a performing arts teacher, there are no opportunities for band or orchestra within the school day. When families enrolled at Delta, they were told students would have access to co-curricular opportunities across the district, which has not been supported. For example, Delta students were not permitted to audition for something called Sylvan Singers, which is an audition-based choir held outside of the school day, despite it being available to peers at Park Forest. Last April, the board approved a formal resolution outlining expectations tied to Delta's transition. However, key components, specifically those related to equitable access to programming, have not been implemented as intended. If you review it, it's the second to last bullet point on the resolution. At Park Forest and Mount Nittany Middle, students have access to instrumental music teachers, in-school lessons, and full ensemble experiences. At Delta, we do not have those opportunities. This is not equitable access, it is a barrier. A common response to this is Delta is a choice, but no student should have to choose between the school that fits their learning or social needs best with access to music education. Music is not an extra at SCASD. It is one of the defining strengths of this entire district. Yet Delta students are currently excluded from a core pathway that over 1,300 of their peers fully can participate in if they choose. During this school year, the SCASD website lists 13 band and orchestra concerts across Park Forest and Mount Nittany. Delta students were not permitted to participate in any of them. The SCASD mission statement says it empowers every student, every day, with individualized opportunities for growth and success in a connected world, and ensures that every student has opportunities to grow, thrive, and fulfill their potential through caring, responsive education. Over the past year, the board has made decisions about Delta grounded in equity, expanding socioeconomic diversity through the admission lottery, and transitioning Delta from a program to a school. But today, Delta remains the only middle school in SCASD without instrumental staffing. So I ask the board to take the next step, commit to a clear timeline to provide this instruction, either with an FTE or budget-neutral option at Delta. This is not about adding something new. It is about providing equal access to something that already exists. And if we truly believe in empowering every student every day, then Delta students must be included in that promise. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bellinger. Ms. Coder, did you want to make a comment, or did you have? Oh, you have other comments? Okay. All right, come on up. Please state your name and where you are in the district, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Emma Bellinger, and I live in Park Forest. I'm a 6th grader at Delta, and I have played the violin and the clarinet for 3 years. This year, I had to start taking private lessons at the Music Academy because Delta doesn't offer instrumental lessons, even though the other schools do. While I like going to the Music Academy, it has taken time away from my day, and it removes the aspect of an ensemble. Being in an orchestra is important because you get to hear all of the different parts of the song, and it can help you keep the beat. Also, I think it is better to learn in a group so that you can learn alongside your peers who are the same level as you, rather than someone who is much better than you. I think it is unfair that Delta doesn't have music lessons. We are now a school just like Park Forest and Mount Nittany, and we do have some differences, like having more class options, but I think that music is a priority, not something to compare to class options. Also, I think Delta middle students used to be able to go over to state highs and take different languages like Latin and Chinese. These languages have been removed from Delta students because the other middle schools didn't have access to them, and they want it to be fair. Now the other middle schools have music and Delta doesn't, so I think that is not inclusive. When we have talked to the school board before, it was said that there was not a budget for it, but I think that we could probably have volunteers to provide music lessons, or even move around some of the other music teachers already employed by the district to cover the gap that is now evident. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good evening. I'm Jessica, and I'm from the Highlands neighborhood. Equity cannot depend on a family's pocketbook. If we are serious about the board's stated values, then Delta students must have real access to the same instrumental pathways as their peers. I hope the board will commit to a timeline to assign sufficient instrumental music staffing to Delta Middle, at least one dedicated FTE or a clearly defined fractional FTE that supports band orchestra lesson cycles across grades 6 through 8. I hope the board will publish the anticipated staffing plan and ratio for all 3 middle schools for the upcoming school year, including how the plan ensures equitable student access to ensembles, lessons, and district events. I hope the board will identify any needed budget adjustments and place a targeted item on an upcoming agenda to implement this change, including budget-neutral options that include staff from Mount Nittany Middle School and Park Forest Middle Schools. In addition, for transparency, I hope the board will confirm the following. The number of full-time equivalent music instrumental positions at Park Forest Middle School, broken out by band, orchestra, choir, the number of full-time equivalent music instrumental positions at Mount Nittany Middle School, with the same breakout, the current full-time equivalent, if any, for music instrumental instruction at Delta Middle, and a per-student ratio comparison across all 3 middle schools. Without clear staffing data, the inequity can too easily be minimized or overlooked. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, come on up and let us know who you are and where you are in the district.
Hello, my name is Amy McCormick. I am a 6th grader at Delta Middle School, and I have been playing violin since 4th grade. I am currently taking music lessons at the Music Academy because of there not being an option to continue my instrument at Delta. The school district was what inspired me to play an instrument in the first place. I have been playing that instrument for 3 years now, and I still love playing it and learning more about how I can get better at it. I would love it if the school district kept encouraging my interest in playing violin so that I could have better music opportunities throughout the rest of my school career. Since Park Forest and Mount Nittany Middle Schools provide instrument lessons, now with Delta officially becoming a school, I think that Delta should too, so every middle school gets equal opportunities to further their students' musical abilities. Among many things, an orchestra or band is helpful for students' social learning and growth. They encourage students to interact with other students and learn how to play their instrument with a group instead of just one-on-one. A music program also helps students to have great opportunities through high school. There are many music programs and extracurricular opportunities in high school, and many Delta Middle School students will not be at the same skill level as the students from Mount Nittany and Park Forest Middle Schools, and therefore will not have as good of a chance to be able to participate in those activities. For these reasons, I believe that Delta Middle should have a music program so that we can continue doing what we love and continue learning in the best way possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening again. My name is Julie Coder, and I am a resident of Ferguson Township. I am also the parent of a 6th grader at Delta Middle School. As you've heard, we're here tonight to advocate for instrumental music at Delta Middle, and I'd like to share a bit of my own why. Music is incredibly important to me. So by background, I am a science teacher, a science educator, but music has always been a huge part of my life. I started playing trumpet in 7th grade, and that middle school music experience, I can honestly say, changed the trajectory of my life. In order to do what I did in life, starting trumpet in 7th grade allowed me to join marching band when I went to the University of Pittsburgh. Being a member of the Pitt Band afforded me experiences that I never would have had as a normal student. I got to perform at Heinz Field for every home game, but also got to perform at away games like Notre Dame, Syracuse, various bowl games, and even 3 NCAA March Madness tournaments. It also, though, most importantly, gave me community. I went to college 6 hours from where I grew up. I didn't know anybody in the city of Pittsburgh, but when I joined the Pitt Band, I automatically had over 200 people who were friends and community and family to me. As a first-generation college student, I was already at risk of not graduating in 4 years, but because of my time in the Pitt Band and the community that it built for me, I was able to graduate in 4 years with a degree in chemistry. I can say with a high degree of certainty that that probably wouldn't have happened without being in the band. And by not offering instrumental music to our Delta students, we could potentially be cutting off those opportunities for them at the high school and college level. As I've been told in the past by a member of the board, yes, we were aware, I think everybody in this room was aware when we signed up for Delta that instrumental music was not an option. However, when the 6th grade parents signed up for Delta, we were a program transitioning to a school, and we weren't sure what that was going to entail. As it stands right now, students at Delta are allowed to participate in intramural sports at their home middle school, but they're not allowed to participate in instrumental music, which is a point of pain for many of us in the Delta community. We chose to come to Delta in spite of the lack of instrumental music because once we visited Delta with our son, we knew it was the right fit. We chose his academic and mental well-being over the availability of instrumental music, but we should not have had to make that choice. I've also been told by members of the board in the past that Delta has smaller class sizes, so you can't have everything. I asked SCASD for the numbers of students and teachers at each school in the district. Based on the provided numbers, at the middle school level, Mount Nittany has a student-teacher ratio of 10.3 to 1, Park Forest has a student-to-teacher ratio of 12.2 to 1, and Delta has a student-to-teacher ratio of 11.8 to 1. Based on those numbers and the fact that I know that salaries make up a significant portion of a school's spending, the ratios at Delta are within the range of the other two middle schools in the district. For reference, the range in the district ranged from Easterly Parkway at a ratio of 9.5 to 1 to Spring Creek Elementary with a ratio of 12.9 to 1. And I see that I'm out of time. Right. So thank you for your attention this evening.
All right, thank you for your comments. Is anyone else here who'd like to make a public comment this evening? All right, come on up. Please tell us your name and where you reside in the district. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, I am Will Coder, and I live in Ferguson Township. I am a 6th grade student at Delta Middle. Music can be a lot of things, from a passion you pour your life's work into, to something you listen to on Spotify, and practically everything in between. For me, music is a form of expression that I love. My family is big on music, as you may have heard my mom talk about her playing trumpet from 7th grade all the way through her senior year in college. I started playing piano when I was in 3rd grade, and I am still continuing to play it now. In 4th grade, I joined the Radio Park Elementary Choir and Orchestra, in which I played the cello. It was amazing to play with the group. My first orchestra concert was breathtaking. All of the different instruments and harmonies sounded beautiful, all played together. In 5th grade, I decided to broaden my horizons and start playing trumpet as well. When I decided to apply for Delta Middle, I was sad to learn that they did not have a dedicated instrumental music program. After touring Delta, I decided to go here because it would suit me best academically, even though I knew it would not have this musical opportunity. It is disappointing and frustrating that there is not instrumental music, and I miss getting to play with an ensemble. Practicing at home by myself is not the same, and I probably will not have the motivation to do it. This hasn't been resolved, and the result of this is kids not getting the continued lessons that they may have received in elementary school. I am very concerned that when the time comes for high school, I will be too far behind my peers at Mount Nittany Middle and Park Forest Middle School. It is not fair at Delta, where we have to make the decision on whether we want best for what is us socially and academically, or if we want instrumental music. It is also unfair that it's not easy for us to do this outside of school without dedicated private lessons. If we can have access to the intramural sports that the other schools can offer, why can't we have instrumental music?
Hello, I'm Nora Stager, and I live in State College. I started playing the violin in kindergarten, and since 6th grade, I've lost all connection to the violin. I've formed many connections with friends and peers through orchestra, and now I find that I've lost the ability to find connections within that. I think it's really important that students in the Delta community have the option for orchestra. I've noticed that many of my peers feel very frustrated that we don't have this. Many of the other schools in the school district have this option, and I think it's very important that Delta gets to have this.
Great. Thank you for your comment. Next comment, please.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you all for your time tonight. My name is Ross Bellinger. I am from Park Forest in Patton Township. So in order to determine Delta Middle School students' interest in music, we had developed a little survey and distributed it to all the incoming 6th grade families, as well as the current 6th and 7th graders that would be present at school next year. So I would just like to share some of those results so that everybody sort of knows what the interest in the program would be. So we had a greater than 90% response rate of the survey. In all, there were 114 Delta Middle School students that are interested in receiving instrumental instruction, which equates to about 84% of the middle school students. Of those 114, 62 were currently receiving supplemental education through private lessons to further the love of music. So just a little breakdown of the instrument counts. So there were, for violin players, there were 20. There were 4 cello players. Bass, there were 4 players, 5 playing flute, 8 clarinet, 15 in percussion, 11 trumpeters, 1 trombone, 10 playing saxophone, and 2 in French horn. In addition to that, there were 10 plus people that did not include what instrument their child was playing. But as you can see, I think this data shows that there's definitely enough support for an orchestra and band within the Delta Middle School. And then just wanted to leave you with this statement. So, a music-empowered student values music as a part of a comprehensive education and an essential expression of the human experience. Students become lifelong patrons and practitioners of music through creativity, critical thinking, music literacy, and aesthetic awareness. These are the guiding words of the vision statement of the SCASD Music Department. So clearly, the district knows the benefit of a music program, and I don't need to tell you that. I think it's a shame that despite the district's own stated vision, we are failing to support a significant number of students at Delta who want to continue their musical development within school, but leave it limited to only those that can afford it. As a parent of 2 daughters in the 6th grade at Delta, I can say that they have thoroughly enjoyed their time at the school, and while I understand that any decision involves trade-offs, I strongly believe that something as fundamental to our education system as the music department should not be withheld from these middle school students, and believe that a reasonable solution can be found to benefit these children. Thank you all for your time again.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eliza Bellinger. I live in Park Forest, and I am currently a 6th grader at Delta Middle School. I've been playing trumpet since 4th grade, starting back at my elementary school. I would love to keep playing an instrument, but since Delta does not provide lessons, playing an instrument at Delta has become much harder than it needs to be. Right now, I have to go to the music academy for my instrument lessons, and it's frustrating to feel like the instrument lessons are not part of my actual school day. When I look at the other middle schools in the SCASD school district, they have musical instrument teachers and scheduled times for instrumental lessons. Delta is a unique school, but unique shouldn't mean having fewer opportunities. In the past, Delta has offered 2 other world languages like Latin and Chinese, but they were taken away so every SCASD middle school could be equal. I think that every middle school student in this district deserves the same access to a music education. By not providing a staff member for these lessons, the SCASD board is sending a message that music at Delta isn't as important as it is elsewhere. Thank you for your time and supporting Delta students who are interested in music.
All right. Thank you for your comment. We have another comment.
Hello, I am Sabina Haas, and I'm a student at Delta, 6th grade. I have played clarinet since 4th grade. I've always loved being in a band because I enjoy collaborating with other students and hearing how all the different instruments sound together. However, when I started at Delta, I switched to private lessons. After only 3 lessons, I realized I was losing my motivation to play. I found that without a group to mess up with, my mistakes felt like failures rather than part of the learning process. When you are practicing alone, it can feel like a chore, but when you are with a group, it feels like a community. What keeps me excited about music is the energy of playing with other people. I believe we should have music lessons at Delta because an ensemble is not a one-person show. It takes a whole team of people to create something beautiful. In my opinion, being part of a band is a team sport, and every student should have the chance to be part of that team. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else like to make a public comment this evening?
I have a few more.
Oh, okay.
My name is Douglas
Glannert. I am a Patton Township resident of 38 years. I am 73 years old. I believe different beliefs, thoughts, cultures, and goals enrich our community. We all have our daily goals and respect each other during the United States Constitution that is part of our nation's forefathers. I stand here and look at the board members, knowing that they were chosen for their particular experiences, education, and goal of making the best opportunities possible for our children. Our children, their future, will guide us with what they learn in our education system. You, as the board, in this guidance endeavor, working with each other, deciding how, what, when, with resources available, the future of our society. Thank you for taking this additional responsibility for our culture. We love our children and want the best for their future. What Mrs. Bellinger presented is what her survey supports. The Delta School needs your support date assigned to put into effect the goal of meeting the diversity, equity, inclusion standard that the State College Area School District promotes. Delta is one of the 3 schools in the State College Area School District system under your guidance. Thank you for your attention to this.
For your comment, Mr. Glannert. If you'd like to come up to the podium, please state your name and where you reside in the district.
Hello and good evening. My name is Andrew Mitchell and I live in Pine Grove Mills, and my son is a Delta Middle School student. My undergraduate degree is in music education. My first job was teaching band and choir 5th grade to 12th grade. I started playing in 7th grade. If I attended Delta, I never would have had the opportunity, and my life would look very different. I think one thing that is missed is the opportunities that are lost when you have a gap in instrumental music education. We're not talking about a period of time away and then a student picks up an instrument again. We're talking about students who may put down instruments forever. They start in 4th and 5th grade, they stop, and then they stop. I don't think it's a secret that SCASD takes great pride in the music education that occurs in the district. Looking around the room for evidence, there are 18 pictures on the wall. 2 of the 18 are of instrumental music. I think it's mind-boggling that SCASD is not providing opportunities for Delta students to participate in instrumental education. And I find it even more mind-boggling that we're looking to private groups to fill that gap. one thing that's also lost, not only other people have talked about that private education is not equitable. It costs money, it costs time that not everyone has. One piece that's also missed is that there is a really important education that happens when performing in a group that can't be replicated when taking private lessons. So even students who are taking lessons now, when they rejoin ensembles, are behind because they haven't been working on those skills, that communication, how to play in a group. It's different kinds of music. When you're working in private lessons, most of the time you're playing a melody. Most instruments in an ensemble are not playing melodies. You're losing skills year by year by year by year that cannot be replaced. You're losing students year by year by year by year who are putting down instruments and never picking them up again. I would ask the school board to do better by our students. Thank you.
Thank you. We probably have time for a few more comments in this public comment session. We'll have another one following our information sessions. So go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Mark Ferragudo. I'm the father of Owen, a 6th grade student at Delta. I'm also a professor of music at Penn State and associate director of the School of Music. I'm speaking from the perspective of a parent here. Owen started learning the violin in 3rd grade. He participated in the school orchestra at Mount Nittany Elementary in both 4th and 5th grades. While he loves the Delta program, as do we all, a major drawback has been the absence of instrumental music. In the fall, he missed out completely on violin playing, falling behind his peers who went to Mount Nittany Middle School. This spring, we were able to supplement Owen's music education by enrolling him in a private violin ensemble at Music Academy in State College. This is the first time this ensemble has ever been offered. The cost is $250 per semester. 2 points I'd like to stress. First, although we're all paying the same taxes as other parents in the district, our children are not receiving the same education. In order for our kids to receive education in instrumental music, we must pay for private lessons or ensembles. The cost of private lessons at Music Academy is currently $1,700 per year for 30-minute lessons. The violin ensemble is $250 a semester or $500 per year, assuming it continues, which is not guaranteed since the instructor is leaving this summer. This ensemble is, by the way, entirely made up of Delta students. Such opportunities are not only prohibitively expensive for many, but they also happen on weekends or after school, which creates additional difficulties for Delta families. Second, participating in private lessons or violin ensembles does not offer an equivalent experience to learning an instrument in a school setting. There's no comparable situation to playing in an orchestra or a band, nor anything in State College that would allow a Delta middle schooler to have the same musical, social, and academic experiences as their peers at other schools. When they reach high school, our students, even if they've taken private lessons, will simply not be at the same level as students from other schools in the district, setting them behind for the entirety of their musical career. In short, Delta students are falling behind their peers in the district and missing out on crucial learning and social opportunities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, we'll have time for 2 more comments, and then we'll need to move on and reopen public comment after our work.
Hi, my name is Ariana Mikulski. I am a parent of a 6th grader at Delta Middle School. We've already talked a little bit about the district mission that's hanging on our wall. I'd like us to reflect for a moment on that mission, thinking about a hypothetical student, a 5th grader who is interested in the democratic model and unique course offerings at Delta. They also play an instrument and have been involved with instrumental music at their elementary school since 4th grade. They would like to keep playing. A first response to this situation is that this student can take private lessons. However, what if their family can't afford private lessons? Let's say this student wins a place in the lottery to attend Delta. Now they are faced with a choice: attend Delta and lose any chance at instruction in their instrument, or attend their neighborhood school and give up participation in Delta. In other words, the district has created a situation in which those with money can attend Delta and attempt to compensate for the lack of instrumental music instruction, while those without the financial means are forced into difficult choices. How does the district justify a decision that imposes barriers to participation for lower income students? If the district truly cares about equity and wants to ensure that every student has opportunities to grow, thrive, and fulfill their potential through caring, responsive education, the board will address this disparity. Delta Middle School needs an additional half-time performing arts position so that they can offer instrumental music, putting them on equitable terms with other schools in the district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Reverdy Norse, and I reside in Patton Township. I am an 8th grader at Delta Middle, and this is my 3rd year here. I have been playing the flute since 4th grade, and during my 5 years of playing my instrument, I've only had one full band ensemble opportunity. In my opinion, grades 4th through 5th are like the learning years. 6th through 8th are the building and progressing years, and 9 through 12 are the advanced experiences and prepping for future opportunities. Because I haven't had these opportunities throughout middle school, I personally do not feel comfortable with band in high school, so I have not signed up for that, and that is unfortunate to me. If Delta students don't have access or choice to continue with music during middle school, they won't develop the confidence with their instrument. Delta Middle School students deserve to have music, same as Park Forest and Mount Nittany. I hope that the school board will help to find a solution for Delta students who have instrumental lessons and full band and orchestra ensemble opportunities. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your comment. Sure, yep. You have 1 minute and 35.
Thanks. I just wanted to say the following.
If you could just state your
I'm
name
Jen
also.
Norse,
Thank you.
and I live in Patton Township. I have 2 daughters at Delta in 8th grade, so I am here advocating on behalf of the younger kids and younger families, since we are on the other side of this now. But there are students who find their voice through music, and I have one. I have 2 who are excellent at music, but I have one who struggles with special needs and with her finding her voice. And music, she has perfect pitch, and there is an opportunity for her to find her footing socially and educationally via music that has been an unfortunate and unnecessary loss, in my opinion, for the past 3 years at Delta, past 2.5 years at Delta. I majored in music in university, and neither of my kids are going to pursue either band or orchestra in high school, which is terribly sad to me. But they've just lost their confidence along the way, despite my every effort to tutor them privately at home and to pay for lessons privately out of pocket. So I implore the board, please try to add music for the next generation of kids coming up through Delta. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. As I mentioned, after the committee of the whole portion of our agenda, we will have another public comment session, which you're welcome to stay and line up to make another public comment. So moving on to committee of the whole portion of the agenda, Dr. Bucher is going to be joined by members of the administrative team to provide information on reauthorizations of the Center Learning Community and Nittany Valley Charter Schools. Dr. Bucher, if you would join us. It's both of these, okay.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having me here. So want to go over the reports that were shared. We recently did annual renewal reviews for 2 charter schools that reside in our district. The first one we will talk about this evening with the memo is Center Learning Community, CLC. They requested a 5-year renewal of their charter. They've been in existence since approximately 1998. So in that process, we did identify a few concerns that are outlined in the report and executive summary that was shared. But I do want to state that while some of these areas do fall under our purview, there are others that do not fall within our purview under Pennsylvania Charter School law, and does not give us full access or full oversight of all aspects of charter operations. So we did a review similarly to what we've done in the past, and just want to make sure that it's clear that that we note that school districts, including SCASD, are held to a different level of accountability, and that we're required to meet different standards by the Department of Education that does not fully apply to charter schools in the same way. However, with these considerations in mind, we are making the recommendation upon your review of the 14-page, 13-page reports that for CLC that you waive the renewal hearing and approve a renewal request for CLC since they are in compliance with Pennsylvania Charter School law. So that would be a summary for CLC. And our intent is upon your moving this forward to a vote on April 20th at the next meeting. Are there any questions about CLC for the executive summary report? I will also be remiss if I did not mention, I should have started with, this was a very large team project. So I have to thank about 9 other people that helped review both of these schools and then contributed to the report significantly. And their names are listed near the top of the report.
Excellent. All right. Board members, any questions about the CLC charter renewal? Yeah, Deb, go ahead.
I just wanted to note with thanks that we did receive, I'm going to find the person's name, a communication from Brian Rowan, the business manager and chief administrator at the CLC, with just sort of his response to the report. I thought it was interesting and helpful. He asked if it could be included in the public record, so if there's no objection to that, I would encourage us to do that just for full transparency. But if that's not the norm, then I don't know. There just wasn't a response to that. And I'm sorry to bring it up at the table. I should have asked privately.
Go ahead. Yes. So we did receive that today, the information from Brian, and we would attach it to the next board meeting,
At the next board
memo
meeting.
when I bring that forward,
Perfect.
since it just received it, for full disclosure transparency on their perspective. Go from there.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think we did with Young Scholars as well. They had a response that came forward when we eventually brought it forward to improve.
Correct.
Sorry.
All right. Other questions? Nope. All right. I think we can move on to the Nittany Valley Charter School.
All right. So much the same. They're on a similar timeline. They were also approximately in a school since approximately 1997, 1998. So they requested a 5-year renewal as well. And we identified several concerns. However, some of those concerns have been remediated by this point. They worked through diligently to get some of those things in alignment. So they're disclosed in the report and executive summary for you to review. And much like I said earlier, they are compliant with charter school law, although there are areas that we reviewed that are not oversight, that we as a district have a different level of accountability for them, the Department of Education, just based on public school, charter school law. So one of the things that is wanted to bring some attention to in this particular review, the further review, there were some enrollment concerns that we discovered. So as part of the review process, Nittany Valley requested an enrollment increase to accommodate enrollments of siblings so that they could accommodate siblings in different grade levels and flexibility in grade level balancing. As we did the review, it emerged that it indicated the school's already been enrolling students beyond the established cap of 48 students, which was established in the original charter, which I got to read from 1997. So that did raise some concerns about the compliance of the original charter agreement. However, looking into it further, we did some looking at the over-enrollment, under-enrollment. So there were some years they were under, some years they were over, and they were averaging around 48. So based on this history, we are making a recommendation of granting Nittany Valley Charter School some limited flexibility enrollment for a maximum of 52 students, so they can make those accommodations for siblings and some flexibility in grade levels. But for the upcoming year and subsequent year, as a check and balance, if this recommendation is accepted, we've agreed to, working with their administration and their director, that they would give us a report every year that they submit the PDE already. They would give us their December 1 child count report no later than May 1st, that we would verify that each year and subsequent years that they were maintaining this enrollment limit of 52 and staying under 52 or less. Any questions before I go into a recommendation? Because that is something that's not.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in addition to the enrollment, there was also the compliance and maintaining clearances. Will that December report that we get in May ensure that as well? Does that make sense?
That will not. That's not something is part of that. It's a accounting aspect for child accounting.
Okay.
There were some clarifications on how they were collecting clearances and, volunteer clearances versus school clearances, and that was within 2 weeks has been remediated.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure, because we were talking about compliance in terms of enrollment, but there were also, I guess, this brief window where the clearances were not done, but that's already been addressed.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
great. And then,
Oh, hold on.
and-
Go ahead.
okay. Well, at some point, I would like to, on the public record, just indicate, because we do have a budget coming, just how much the district spends in terms of charter schools. This might not be an appropriate time, so I can defer to Jesse, but I do think it should be part of the public record.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, well, it's not a question. I just wanted to kind of make sure that the public was aware that in 2025, 26, we're currently paying for brick and mortar non-special ed students $21,441 per student. For cyber non-special ed per student, it's $19,795. For brick and mortar special education students per student, it is $45,827. For cyber special ed per student, it is $37,413. So since we are talking about the renewal, I think it's important to be clear what that costs the district. And so in 2024, 2025, the district paid $6.2 million in charter tuition, and in 2025, 26, the budget was $7.1 million. And so when you get later to our discussion of budget, our revenues are not large enough to counteract the increases in expenditures. And so I just wanted to make sure that's part of our conversation, or at least part of the record.
Yeah, and as applicable, the concern with the cap, and that affects SCASD as well as other school districts. So we feel like we have a mechanism in place that would account for that on an annual basis versus the 5-year renewal. But that information is certainly helpful.
Jesse?
Yes, I frankly respect your financial concern about what we are paying for these schools. I just had one question. I saw here, under social studies, the curriculum strongly focused on economics. What does it mean for a K through 6 school to focus on economics?
I will see if Mrs. Merrick can assist me with that.
Just that's their focus when they talk about math and when they're looking at social studies and how countries developed through an economic lens. I believe, Jack, you may have done that part of the report.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just answering with what I can recall.
All right. I can't, I just don't know how much you can teach K through 6. Does that mean it's to the exclusion of other
No, not necessarily.
social studies things that you would teach
No.
K through 6
No.
children?
It didn't mean that they don't teach other things. It's just that there was a strong emphasis on that piece.
Okay, I mean,
There are different strands in social studies. Economics is one of them, and she saw a strong emphasis in that area.
okay.
That's all. It's not
All
that
right.
that's all they taught.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would hope not. Thank you.
All right. Other questions? No? Yep, go ahead, Deb.
So moving forward, we'll get a report thinking about the enrollment. But like, what is the enforcement mechanism? So if they go over the enrollment cap that we're giving them, which apparently has happened in the past, and there have been no consequences in the past, moving forward, what would the consequence be if they go over this enrollment cap? How are we going to enforce it, and what is the consequence?
So as Jonathan had said, this charter school was in the first batch of charter schools. He didn't say that, but he held up the booklet. It was in the first batch of charter school applications that were submitted to the district, and it was a significantly different process then than it is now to review it. The charter school law itself has a provision that unless there is a hard enrollment agreed to as part of the charter that is issued, essentially there is no ability on the district's part to say you can't increase. Now, I think in retrospect, and maybe the school would agree to this as well, they should have been informing us that they were going over what was conceived of as the enrollment limit as they were doing it. But as it existed with the charter that was issued, we essentially had no enforcement mechanism whatsoever. However, the same
Even
law,
though they listed 48 students as their target in the original charter.
but that was not a condition of the charter itself that was issued, and that's
Okay.
what it would need to be.
Gotcha.
With the change that we are approving and they are agreeing to tonight, there is an enforceable hard cap limit to that, and were they to go over it, I'm not sure if they went over it by 1 or 2, that would be a strong basis to revoke a charter, but it's certainly an issue, and there is now, as there wasn't for the last close to 30 years, enforcement mechanism on that subject.
Okay.
But that's been cleaned up at this point.
Okay. So there's some additional piece of paper or something that gets filed with the state that says everybody's agreeing to this enrollment.
I don't think it has to get, I don't know, Jonathan, when we approve it, do we send something to PD or is it just in our files?
So it would be in the memo to
Okay.
the memo in this actual report
That
as
spells
stated
it
at the
out.
beginning here, and then there'll be a follow-up memo that explicitly states it again.
Okay.
As agreed to. So the recommendation, with hesitation because of the concerns outlined, is that you would waive the hearing, approve the charter with the movement to 52. That's our recommendation. Obviously, you can vote that down, but that would be the recommendation on the approval for the agenda.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Before we move on, I do just want to echo what Jonathan said and thank all the administrators listed in the charter review process. I know this is a lot of work to put these together, these reports, so we really appreciate it.
As well as the board members that went to
As
their
well
board
as the
meetings.
board members,
Our board
absolutely.
members, so thank you, and that wrote reports as well.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. Moving on in Culture, Climate, and Learning Committee, Dr. Booker will stay with us. We'll be joined by Dr. Brent Wilson to provide an update on the high school course requests with fewer than 12 students.
So this evening, Dr. Wilson and I will go through the work that we've been doing with courses under 12 or fewer than 12. So in Board Policy 126, class size, the Associated Administrative Regulations has an aspect where we should not be running courses, regular education, general education courses, under 12 students unless we come forward to the board for an exception. So the last 3 years, since I've been here and longer, we've been working to bringing those forward to the board. So I will pass it to Dr. Wilson shortly, but what we're requesting is a approval from you at the next meeting to approve these 12 courses so that we could get those into our master schedule for State High. So I'll turn it to Dr. Wilson.
Thank you. Good evening. Every year, we really evaluate there you go. Every year, we evaluate the course enrollment numbers with our coordinators. We look at the interest those courses have brought by the student body. Obviously, we want to be as efficient as possible with our staffing, revamping some courses, and then also adding some new courses that are based off student interest. The Aspire Ed program would be one of the best examples in the past couple years here. These numbers are at this point, and I say at this point because typically over the past few years, we have added around 55 to 70 students every summer to the high school alone out of district. So we'll go with at this point. The first course that we have listed there is our Wake Up PE, currently at 4 students. This runs before our first period. It does become an option, would run in the spring. It becomes an option for students that still need elective credit, maybe need that PE credit, and their regular schedule is already full. So it's one that we have seen an increase in the past. Lifeguarding right now is at 5 students. It is run in the fall semester, and then we have students use that program to earn certification to be able to work in our pools and help those out. The third course that we have listed there is our AP German Language and Culture course. It has 10 students. Like other courses, as you continue to get up to that advanced level, you see a decrease in the number of students. It's more specialized, and that curriculum is really targeted to that AP exam as well. Course 4 and 5 that are listed there is our Chinese 3, has 5 students, and then our AP Chinese Language and Culture has 6 students. These 2 courses have been co-sat together and will be co-sat, but even with that, they're still at 11, so they're one underneath that 12 requirement. Our Supply Chain Management 3, it has 2 students, but that course is co-sat with our Supply Chain Management 2, which has 17 students. The next 2 courses, Food Production course and then Plant Science course, these are ones that we see as a second choice for a lot of students, especially ones that have signed up for our Senior Foods, our Baking 101, our Culinary Arts 1, our Culinary Arts 2. Those courses see a high number of requests, and we can only accommodate so many sections of those due to capacity. So we see those 2 courses, whether it be food production or plant science, as alternative courses. They could still get a background into food production or into how plants are used, with the hope then still being able to get in some of those other cooking classes that they're requesting later on in their high school career. Auto Tech 2 is listed there with 10 students. This is a range that Dr. Morton, we try and keep a cap of around 15 students. You see in the comments there, we have about 18 students that take Auto 1. The difference between the 2 is kind of the specific content that they're working on within the auto course, safety, specific things that they're working on, the equipment that they're using is more in depth. So spacing, we try and keep numbers down from Auto 1. And again, as you progress through that course and through that program, you're going to see less students as you go up through Auto 3 and Auto 4. Those 2 courses are listed next, but they are able to be co-sat, where Auto Tech 3 has 9 students and Auto Tech 4 has 8 students. Again, those can be done at the same time with those numbers. The last course on there is the Advanced Architecture. Advanced Architecture 4. It has 8 students currently signed up in it. And again, similar to the way that we talked about, as you continue up through a program, you're going to see that reduction there. This number is not really typical for this program. Typically, we see a lot higher numbers here. So it could just be the demographic of this class of students coming through, but typically that's much higher for advanced architecture 4.
So, Dr. Wilson, you want to talk a little bit about the phasing of the last 2 years from where the courses used to be at 40 down to this current efficiency?
Yeah, so as we evaluate the course enrollment with our coordinators and looking at those things, it's really looking to see where that student interest is as well. We also know that this year is the last year of our IB program also, so that's a number of courses there that would be under 12, but really making sure that we're maximizing our staffing and what we can use, and we want to make sure that we're providing what students want. And that we're able to meet the needs of our students with the capacity that we already have within the building.
Thank you. And I also wanted, just as a side note before we open up for any questions, just wanted to note that due to the sequencing of the master schedule at the high school, it is built now, and then it's subsequently, once that's built, if we get the approval from the board at the future meeting, then Delta High School is able to schedule the way that those 2 buildings are intertwined with courses. And then our middle schools will schedule in June. So we may be bringing this back. We will take a look at Delta High numbers. So there may be another memo from John and I for Delta High, and there might be a memo as well, request for the 2 middle schools as well as Delta Middle, depending on when those, and if those courses are identified at a future meeting.
Okay. Questions? Yeah, Jackie, go ahead.
So just to double check, like usually when I've looked at this chart in futures past, and because I'm a creature of habit, usually it also lists courses that are a no-go. Are there any courses that were potential courses that have been you've decided not to run because of low enrollment numbers? Because everything here is getting run, right? So I was just checking to see if there's anything that's been you've made the decision to not run.
Not specifically essential courses. There are courses that coordinators have decided to run every other year that are balancing. There's some science electives that do that, and there's a couple more in other departments that are slipping my mind right now, but they've seen on an every other year pattern would be the ones that wouldn't be run at this time. If they were run this year, not run next year.
All right, thanks so much, Dr. Wilson.
Okay. Other questions, comments? I did have one question. Just for clarification, when you co-seat a course, each of those individual courses has their own syllabus and their own curriculum. Is that correct?
Yes, and depending on if we can do that is how closely those curriculums align, how well that teacher can differentiate between the 2 of those courses. Looking at, in the case of, AP German, it does not line up well with the advanced German to be able to co-seat that, where Chinese 3 in AP Chinese is able to do that. So really kind of looking at the content itself and working with the coordinator to see if that's something that's an option or not.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Last call. All right. Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for joining us. So moving on, in Culture, Climate, and Learning, we'll be talking about the Welcoming Schools resolution. So just a little background. Back in February, the board reviewed and discussed a Welcoming Schools resolution in response to families who have raised concerns related to immigrant family rights and status, gender identity, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, and other protected characteristics. These concerns reflect broader national conversations and have contributed to uncertainty for some members of our school community. The revised draft that is presented this evening incorporates feedback from the Penn State Dickinson Laws Center for Immigrant Rights Clinic and Penn State Center for Education and Civil Rights. I'd like to thank Dr. Bader, Dr. Demo, Ms. Damaris for spearheading this initiative. Anne, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I also just want to send a thank you to the Penn State Dickinson Law Center for Immigrant Rights and Penn State Center for Education and Civil Rights for their time in meeting with us. Also to Alex Croswell, who's super responsive to our questions throughout the drafting process, and Tonya Black and Christine Merritt for their foundational help. We're also deeply grateful for the public letters of support for the resolution. We Also, we focused based on some of the early feedback on keeping the resolution accessible and have begun exploring ways to share key points from the resolution with families, which might include a brief fact sheet, but we wanted to pause on that until we had feedback from the board, and so we welcome that feedback now.
All right. Questions or comments for, yep, Deb, go ahead.
I had sent an email just to, I think, Anne and Amy, because they were the ones who wrote the memo, with a question about on page 2, the number 1, it says students, families, and employees should not experience harassment or discrimination based on, and then we list a variety of categories. We, in our welcoming school, like inclusive excellence policy and other policies, we list a broader array of categories. And I don't know if we need to list every single category in this particular welcoming schools resolution, because I understand the focus is a little different. But there were 2 that I thought maybe we should consider adding, which would be race and gender identity, possibly sex, but we already I don't know. Again, I don't know that we need to list them all, but it felt like those 2 in particular were perhaps something we might want to add.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I really appreciate, as usual, your hyper focus on details, because that was just an oversight. And we were so focused on trying to take all the feedback and then make it accessible that just was an oversight. I think the policies that we cite on page 1 certainly echo that. And so you offered a place to put it, and we will certainly, I think it makes complete sense to add it.
Yeah, I think we had gone from an initial draft to then kind of cross-referencing some other schools and some other resources, and our some of the initial work that we did it kind of got bigger, and then we made a big effort working with the collaborators at Penn State to really be very concise and bring it down. And so I think in the course of that expansion and contraction that happened several times, those kind of just missed the mark and got waylaid. So yeah, I certainly have no problem adding that either. So, okay. And I also appreciate catching it.
Yeah. Jesse, go ahead.
I would say, yeah, race and gender identity should be added. Also, maybe race, sex, and gender identity. But I just wanted to actually praise it generally, because I really like this is very consistent with resolutions on policing that we've had in the municipalities in the area, and so so this otherwise looks very good, and I really do think you did a good job on it.
Great. Yep, Rebecca.
I want to thank you both. You really took something that was a lot of pieces, the draft from the people that brought it to us at the beginning, to like you said, you went big and then you went small, and you all were extremely thoughtful for this, and the concerns about making sure that anyone off the sidewalk was able to read this and see that we want to make sure that people understand that they're welcome here. And I feel like you all really touched on this, and so thank you for all of your efforts and the hard work you put into this, and the time is just so thoughtful, and so thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's easier when you've got policies like 100.1 that allow you to move forward. I mean, it's critically important that students in our community feel safe and feel welcomed, and so I think us reaffirming the law and reaffirming these policies is a really critical thing for us. So thanks.
Jen?
Well, just to add to what Ann said, and also, while we're choosing this moment in time to reaffirm and be very explicit about these things, at the same time, a big part of that lead-in is that, and to Ann's point about policy, we're not changing anything. This resolution does not add anything that we haven't, for the most part, been doing in the past. It's a reiteration of, all the different laws that we are required to follow, and that we, both the board and our staff and administration and faculty all adhere to. So we went back and forth about including the list of policies or whether that should be somewhere else, but we decided that was a really important core part because we wanted people to understand that those are all generally based in a response to legal requirements that the district has to protect and take care of students, to protect their privacy, their private information, and a variety of other factors. So I just want to reiterate that. Yeah.
Jen?
I think that because Annie opened up by saying you wanted everybody's feedback about what you brought to the public as far as a breakdown of points. I think when we had our meeting with the board at Wegmans last week, that was one of the questions that was asked by someone was, what are you doing to protect, what is our district doing to protect the kids in case an ICE officer comes in? And so I think it's really important that that kind of thing is that question is answered, is, we will do that, we can do this, we can't do this, or, just lay it out there, because I think that that's a question that a lot of people have, whether they say it or not. And a lot of kids have too, so.
Yeah, so it's not the whereases, but it's really like news you can use.
News you can use. I like that.
Great.
All right. I also wanted to say I really appreciate when you came to leadership and told us about this, how you just have all the policies listed. So it really ends up being a resource, almost more so than other policies have been. So I think it's great.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Jackie? No? Okay. All righty.
I'm assuming you're going to bring this back with the changes and for action item next
We
meeting.
would like to,
Okay.
yes, please.
Excellent. We'll look forward to voting on this soon.
That was all the hours at the coffee shop doing? Yeah, that was the
That's
answer.
right. That's right. All right. So moving on to Facilities Committee. I'd like to invite Mike Fisher to provide us with an update on the Mount Indy Elementary Expansion Project, which is coming along quite nicely. Oh my. So is it still hard hats required there, Mike?
Absolutely.
Okay. Good to know.
And safety glasses.
No, and safety glasses. Okay.
Evening.
Elbow's getting warm. You got your
That's
closed,
right.
You gotta have your closed-toed shoes on.
That's right. That's right.
So a few pictures to show you. So casework's going in. Painting's ongoing, but things are starting. And then a lot of the comments when the board went through that the rooms were so big, they're going to start to get smaller. Pictures from the outside, so it's actually coming together. A lot of the brick is now done. Windows are in. And again, casework in the hallways. Again, the hallways themselves are going to shrink.
It's starting to resemble a school, though.
Correct. You see, like the grid and the ceiling for the drop ceilings in. Lights will be going in, that sort of thing. There's some of the stonework in the common area. It's looking really nice. Guys did a good job on that. The craftsmen. So current progress. Brick, we're about 85%. Roofing, the flat roofs are complete. Our rubber roofs. There are some standing seam pitched roofs. They're about 75%. A lot of the tiles complete. They've started putting solar on the roof, so that's going. And then we're setting toilets, urinals, sinks. The really exciting stuff. Kind of next steps. So it's casework, painting, ceiling grids, getting kitchen equipment installed. And then, we're getting ready, we're starting up HVAC equipment and that sort of thing as well. So, schedule, we just put out schedule number 9 here. As I said before, kind of the new wing, we're still on schedule we pushed a little bit, but we're still on schedule for kind of the latter part of May. And then, final clean for the work that's happening in the school that week of August 3rd. So right now, we don't anticipate any disruptions, whatsoever. Keep in mind that final clean is not substantial completion. That'll happen a couple weeks before. Kind of things are done. They're just going to go through and make sure everything is spotless before they turn it over to our group. So, any questions?
Are the kids going to be able to see it this year? Are they going to get a tour?
I can give tours all day long.
Okay, all right. I'm sure they'd like to see it, especially when it's done. So, all right. Any questions? All right. Thanks, Mike. Exciting. Moving on to Finance Committee, we will be joined by Randy Brown and Megan Shaper. They're going to provide us with a budget development, a 2026-2027 budget development annual report for food service. We are so excited to have Megan Shaper here.
I just want to say that this is Megan's last report with us.
No. I disagree.
Want to show show our appreciation to Megan. She set the standard on annual reports, and a couple weeks ago we had several other reports, and I try to give Megan's as an example to follow, and we just are really thankful for Megan. And so, since this may be her last time with us, I wanted to mention that.
Thank you. So I'll say after 33 annual reports, when I sit down to write a new one, it always feels like, ooh, it's doing the same thing over and over again. But there are a lot of There are a lot of new faces at the table, so I will say I kind of make it a little shorter in the years where everybody's been around before and a little longer in years when I've got some new people to educate a little bit about how the program works. So you got the little bit of the longer version this year. But I am happy to report the district's food service program is operating smoothly. We ended last school year with a nice profit, a small profit, though we are projecting a small loss this year, and I'm budgeting for a loss for next year as well. That said, coming out of the pandemic years, we built up a fairly nice fund balance, so I'm not anticipating that we will need support from the general fund. The program is in good shape financially right now. I would also point out to you that in the report, I included a memo with lunch prices for next school year that will require your approval, so if you'll look at that, and that will be brought back for you to vote on. As Randy said, this is my last time reporting to you, and I truly do want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to run this program and to work for the State College Area School District. 38 years ago, I didn't even know school food services was a career choice, and I kind of fell into it. And I go up to Penn State and tell the Penn State students that I'm a school lunch geek and how much this is the perfect meld of everything that I love. It's restaurants and food service and hospitality, and it's actually serving families and serving students and making a difference. So the fact that I've been able to do that for 33 years is just amazing, and thank you to you, and thank you to the State College Area School District. Breathe. Though I will not be here for it, I really am excited for the next phase of what's going to happen with this department. I have shepherded this program through some pretty significant changes to the National School Lunch Program. Congress likes to throw new rules out there and USDA rights rules that we have to follow, and there have been some big changes over the past 33 years. There are some more big changes right on the horizon. So whoever comes after me, they are going to be excited and passionate, and it's going to be really nice to watch and see how we move on to the next chapter. I have no qualms that that's not going to happen smoothly and well. I will tell you, some of the very, very best people who work in this school district work in our school kitchens. We've got good people everywhere, but we've got some really, really lovely people working in the school kitchens. So they're going to rise to the challenge, and they're going to continue to do a great job. So all that said, I know you all can read, so I don't reiterate back everything that you've already read. If you have questions from my published report or my provided report, I will be happy to answer those for you now.
All right. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Thank you for all that you do. I've gotten to interact with you a little bit over the years with my kids coming through schools. I really appreciated your report. It was really nice. It was interesting to read some of the things like your chocolate milk was
Mhm.
interesting to see that how much less chocolate, if chocolate milk's not on the menu, how much less kids will drink milk in the schools. Right. So I appreciated that. I also wanted to just point out and just show appreciation for the program initiatives that you have all engaged in over the years. I've gotten to personally work with Travis Fulmer with one of the elementary school gardens. I'm at Park Forest Elementary, so I've gotten to work really close with him, and he's done a fantastic job working to get the kids together. And so it's been a really great program. My kids love the disposable service program. Even at home, to make sure we don't throw it out. So thank you for bringing that home. All that you all do is just so important to our students and to you're feeding our teachers and our students and our staff. And we're just so lucky to have such a great food service department and to have had you leading it for all these years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, Amy, go ahead.
I just had one quick question. I was curious because I know the last couple summers it's been new, the Oak Park or Oak Hall Park program. I mean, that's pretty impressive, serving almost 900 children over the summer, and many people don't realize that for those families that we have that do qualify for free meals within the school system, that summer can be a really difficult time for them. So I'm really so grateful to you for taking on that program, because I know it was a different way to do things, and we had to make some adjustments, and we made some purchases, and in order to make that come together and happen. But you mentioned a little bit about it, but I'm not familiar with where that funding comes through USDA. Is it a block over a certain period of time, or is it annual and could go away again?
Yeah, it's part of the summer food service program.
Okay.
So it is a permanent program. It
Okay.
really shouldn't go away. I mean, we know
Okay.
but yeah, no, it's funded. It's well funded.
Because I know it was new that we started doing it just a couple of years ago,
Right.
so
Well,
I wasn't
and
sure.
this non-congregate piece
Okay.
was new that came into effect. I think it's actually 3 years ago now, but I think the first year it wasn't really out there, so nobody was doing it. So since USDA made it really readily available, we have been doing it. But the non-congregate means kids don't have to sit there and eat the lunch at the site. We can give them bags of groceries, families bags of groceries to take home to prepare those meals at home. And it just makes it just better in every single way. And yeah, it's a lovely program. The first year we thought we were going to serve 150 children. We very quickly had to raise our numbers. I'm going to embarrass Travis a little bit because I think it's cute and it all worked out. I was on vacation last year, and you're not allowed to serve more than you've told PDE you're going to serve. And he was supposed to turn the survey off when we reached that, and he just missed it. And very quickly we went over, so I had to call PDE. Very quickly got approval to raise our numbers. But we've raised the numbers several times over the years that we've been doing it, the couple of years we've been doing it. We're really kind of maxed out now because we do have to move all that food to a remote site. So that's just a really big physical problem. But it's a great program. I love it.
And that's open to not just GASD students, right?
Yes. Any child under the age of 18 can participate. They do not need part of our school district. We advertise it very directly to our school district, and our families kind of get first rights to sign up. But that message will be going out to families closer to the end of the school year.
Great.
We're
Well, that's good to hear.
gearing up. Yep.
I'm glad to know that it's not precarious, because I know we had a lot of changes as a result of pandemic changes and shifts. So
Yeah, and I'm actually hoping to volunteer all summer long to help on Wednesdays.
Yay. Oh, I want to too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I saw in your report that you're going to stay through the 30th to get it started, and that was just such a Megan moment, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that program. I absolutely love that program. So
you're also miraculous. Like, somehow it's the end of the day, and there's just enough to hand the bags, and I don't know how you don't have it left over. You're amazing.
Keep
question.
Just again, appreciation for all that you've done for the district, and good luck in your retirement. We will miss you.
Oh, thank you.
Jackie?
Yeah, just to pile on, but once you've retired and you don't have to show up here on a daily basis anymore, though we do hope we'll see you occasionally, you really should be able to put your head down at night and know you did an excellent job here. the students, not just of our school district, but of the state of Pennsylvania, are better because of your advocacy. So I've really enjoyed working with you, and I hope I see you at On-Call at least once this summer.
You'll see me. And I absolutely hope to continue on the advocacy piece because, again, you know, I'm a school lunch geek. I'm a little passionate about making sure that kids have access to this. So that's something I absolutely will keep doing, whether I'm, you know, no matter where I'm working or what I'm doing.
I'll give you my number. We can keep
All right,
working.
we'll talk.
I knew Jackie would bring up the advocacy, so I didn't want to bring it up when I said something, but I do want to go beyond what you said. I don't know that many people know in our community what a role model you are within the state, and that you're a leader within your industry within the state. And we here at the table know the work that you've done on universal school meals. But you are so incredibly articulate, and I think this is why Randy gave you such kudos as an example to set for other administrators in terms of your report. You preemptively answer the questions that board members have. Why, why aren't kids taking milk, or why is whole milk going to be an issue? Why, those questions get answered. And I think it was really impressive to me through the pandemic how you helped explain to community members the reason why universal meals are so much more beneficial and actually less costly for taxpayers overall if we just include all kids, because the time and energy that it takes to screen people to determine if they're eligible and which tier, whether it's free or reduced lunch, they're eligible for, takes immensely more work and people hours than it does to just feed everybody. Right. And I just applaud you for that effort and the professional that you are, and your presence will be missed.
But I'll add to that, the other savings people don't think about is we're sending kids in the classroom in the afternoon, and we're paying teachers to teach them. And we want that to be effective time. And students who are hungry are not learning. So it's, even just that short term from lunchtime till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, making sure kids are able to participate in education.
Precisely. And the biggest benefit that I know you remark on all the time and I bring up a lot at the table is that the standards we use for free and reduced lunch are so incredibly low, and there are so many families that are in financial precarious situations or may have a sudden change, a huge car wreck, breakdown, lose a job, a medical crisis, and they find themselves suddenly within that tier where they don't quite qualify, but they are really, really struggling. And by having universal meals, we make sure that those families are fed and cared for as well. And I think you do a great job of pointing that out. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because it's so important to you.
It is.
Other comments, questions? One thing I did want to point out, just so the public is aware, it's listed in your report. You mentioned a very, very small price increase of about, 5 cents per meal next year? And I just want to point out, if you've been to the grocery store, you know that an increase of 5 cents for food, that's miraculous in and of itself. So the fact that we've been able to keep lunches as affordable as we have in all the time that I've been here, I really appreciate that. And I know a lot of families do too.
Right. It's hard to decide how not to get too much into the weeds with that report, but part of that too is we do have a fund balance. And USDA does not allow us to have a fund balance of more than 3 months operating costs. So we've been exceeding that for a little while, and I keep promising that we'll start losing money. So we don't want to lose a lot of money, but we do need to spend that fund balance down a little bit. So that's part of that calculation as well.
So the snow days helped then.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can
But she's still educated why that's like, so for board members moving forward, you need to understand the repercussions of that.
Yeah, I wrote, wow, because that you could let us know that each day not made up equals a loss of 35,000 in revenue. That's those are the details we appreciate. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Again, it really has been a pleasure. And when I graduated from Penn State in hotel restaurant management, I was going to own a restaurant. And I have been able to run 12 restaurants and make sure kids have great lunches every day and make sure families are supported and taken care of. And it's just been, and I get to go home in the afternoon and I have weekends off, and you don't have that in the restaurant industry. So it's just been wonderful all the way around. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan. All right. We will now be joined by Mr. Randy Brown and Joe Vigileone. They're going to provide an update of the 2026-2027 proposed final budget. I don't really know how you follow that, but
Not with a fund balance.
okay. And probably not with applause, so.
Yeah, fair. I'll just let Joe get set up here. This is not a lot of new information tonight for you. 2 weeks ago, I believe, or maybe 3 at a work session, we went through a lot of new information in greater detail with you. There's just a couple slight modifications to our budget proposal. And so I'll let Joe, since he's hooked up, go ahead and walk you through that.
Yeah, it's been great working with somebody like Megan for the last 3 years, and just even better person. I mean, I can't say anything. I can't say enough. I mean, so moving on to this, the budget update. Again, there's not too much difference. One thing that we did add in 2.17 new positions, 2 custodians and a 0.17 middle school teacher, along with 2 coaches for co-ed hockey and co-ed rugby clubs. The substitute pay rates are elected to be unchanged for 25-26 school year, or unchanged from the 25-26 school year. That was after a substantial increase in 24-25. We feel that the substitute issue has been stabilized. We had discussed some of the concerns in the budget differences. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just had a quick question about the substitutes. So I was confused, and maybe I'm misremembering the terms we use for some of them. But at one point, didn't we have like a position that was a building substitute?
We do.
We do.
We still do.
So what's the difference between a per day building substitute versus just a why is that a different category rate? I guess I'm just not understanding
because they're expected to be here every day. Whereas.
So are they is that like a PTS rate?
No, it's our daily building substitute rate. They are not. The reason that it's not a PTS rate is because they're not doing lesson plans. They're just committing that they will be, and Michelle, you can feel free to come talk and if I'm speaking out of turn here, but they are committed to being in the building every day. They just will be in probably a different classroom most days, and they're not completing the lesson plans that a PTS substitute would be doing.
I guess I'm just trying to understand how it's different than a day-to-day certified.
Because a day-to-day has to sign up for their jobs.
Okay.
Whereas a building sub, we've committed to them that we will have work for you. It will just be it's basically we're guaranteeing the building a substitute.
Correct. So the day-to-day subs don't have to work every day if they don't want to.
Right.
And the building subs, as Randy said, are committed to coming every single day.
But I thought if they're coming every single day of the school year, then that we've treated that like as a position. Or am I misunderstanding?
What?
That's fine, and I may be misunderstanding because maybe
they're committed to coming to the building. They're not committed to being in a position in the same classroom.
Right.
So they don't have to do the lesson plans.
But are
and
they
all of the
working
other
essentially 170 plus days of the year?
Yes.
But they're working at a daily rate?
Yeah, they're working at a daily rate.
Every day.
They are.
And that's economically to our benefit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Given the numbers.
That's what I'm just trying to understand, how it's economically,
Yeah.
okay.
Given the.
It fills in a lot of gaps that we have, unexpected gaps with people calling off in the morning, not enough coverage. So those building subs have really been beneficial for that.
I understand the value of having somebody there available for unexpected things, for sure. I guess I just had misunderstood the way we were managing the pay for that situation. Okay, that's helpful. I'm sorry. Thank you for explaining it more clearly, making it more clear to me.
And the buildings, the schools also share the building subs too if they can't find.
Yeah,
if
okay.
they don't have
They
them.
might go to a different building, got it.
Okay, we went and we discussed at the last time about benefiting from one-time money to balance the budget and push off the fiscal cliff. And we've noted that some of our larger increased costs, which is wage growth about 5%, health insurance is increasing about 10% per year, along with the special ed enrollment increases. So this is a new slide, but within the presentations, but we do this each year. As you can see, the state budget now is still not known, so at that point in time, we are assuming level funding.
And-
the increase is largely due to the reimbursements when we adjust the salaries between Social Security and PSERS that we get. We get a 50% reimbursement for each, the PSERS and Social Security.
And Joe and I had along with some of the other staff from the district, had the opportunity to go to our school business official conference about 2 weeks ago. And at that conference, we were hearing about many districts who were receiving the same amount of money as what we are, at least expected to, and how it used to be the trend that you could expect to receive 2 to 4% more. And there are actually projected to be several districts that are going to receive less next year. I'm sorry?
Less than 2 to 4%. Is that what you're saying?
No, less than what they received
Less
this
than
year.
what they received this year.
In the category of?
Basic ed subsidy. So if we got $5 million, let's say, as an example, in basic ed subsidy, and another district, what I understand is those other districts may be getting $4.8 million in 26, 27. So actually physically less money in that revenue line than they received in the current year.
Okay.
It's how the calculations work.
Okay.
Not necessarily great calculations, but.
So the next slide is our revenue growth as anticipated. You can see from the 2024-25 ending with actuals, 25-26 where we're projecting now, and 26-27 where we're proposing the budget to be for next year. You can see the revenue remains fairly similar to what we've told you, about an 80-20 local versus federal and state split. And then with the local components, you can see the vast majority of that is real estate tax. Again, reiterating what helped us before, a lot of one-time dollars such as real estate transfer tax, interim tax, and then there were some jumps as we had talked about the last 2 years in basic ed subsidy that are not occurring in fiscal year 26 or projected to occur fiscal year 27. We mentioned the growth rate for assessed value. We did reduce it from 1.2 to 0.9% a couple years ago. This year is actually trending towards negative 0.2% as of the county update that occurred a couple weeks ago.
And if anyone has a question, I'm just going to state the obvious. And I don't mean to insult if you don't understand, but buildings don't typically come off the tax roll. Why we're seeing a decrease is because of assessment appeals by various commercial businesses that are allowed by the law, the state code, but we're having more assessment appeals dropping our assessed value than we are buildings coming onto our assessed value.
So revenues, why is 26-27 different? The Act 1 index allows for 3.5% tax increase, which equates to about $4.6 million. Earned income tax is about a 3% increase is what our assumption is. That accounts for about 10% of our budget. Federal and state account for about 20% of our budget. With the real estate at 60, that leaves 10% of our budget revenue remaining. Adding up the above revenues, they're expected to increase from about $207.5 million to $214.5 million. It's about a 3.4% increase. In looking at the expenses, they're approximately $157,000 higher than previously reported. A lot of that is for the teachers that we had mentioned, or the custodians and the teacher that we had mentioned before. Expenditure growth, you'll see the outlier is 24-25 actual versus 25-26 and 26 and 27. A lot of the reason for the 24-25 outlier is within transfers, and that was due to a large transfer from committed fund balance in the general fund to its own fund. That was about $9.4 million. And then there was a large capital reserve transfer, about $11 million. And that was brought about, again, by the one-time unknown monies that came about, such as the interim real estate tax. which was over 3 million last year. This year it's going to be underneath 200,000, as well as the transfer tax and the increased state aid that occurred in 24-25 that is not occurring in 25-26. We did not know about it in 24-25 until after the budget was passed due to the timing of the state budget. Key expense indicators. As you can see, salaries are projected to grow by about 5.5% per year, and over the last 3 years, health insurance has grown by about 11% per year. And then, as mentioned before, the charter school conundrum that they're still trying to figure out at the state level. So again, in 26-27, growth in personnel costs is anticipated to be about 5%. Health insurance is an average of 10%. And special ed enrollment mandates are requiring additional staffing resources. Adding up the expense increases, you're going from about $212 million to about $221 million, about $9 million more, and that's about a 4% increase without onboarding the debt service for Park Forest Middle School.
So on this slide, you mentioned special education enrollment. We're going to have the special education plan later on tonight. So how are we assessing whether additional staffing may be needed if we have a large group of special ed students come, into the summer? Or I think Heather talked about like 11 students coming in kindergarten, early intervention. So I looked at slide 2, and special ed wasn't there, but we have to maintain compliance. So
Yes, so there's mandates that we have to meet, special education mandates, where we can only assign so many students to a teacher or case manager at this. We are still looking, because as students come in, students leave, so we're waiting for the final numbers, but what we're looking at right now, we're going to have anywhere between 1 and 4 staff members that we were going to have to add, just due to the number of special education students with certain needs that we will need to add to the staffing.
So basically what we're looking at tonight in terms of proposed roles is just preliminary proposed roles. It is not a final request for proposed roles.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that wasn't clear to me either, so that's helpful to understand because I was concerned as well.
and an unfunded mandate from the state.
Correct.
So just to kind of clarify that
And the
that
federal,
makes
and the
it-
federal government.
Right.
Yeah.
But and then the amount of money going to charter schools really makes it quite difficult because we are then, you're very effective with your slides in terms of clarifying why we're in this situation right now versus before. And so I just wanted to say all those words out loud.
Thank you. So then we have the unassigned fund balance roll forward. As you can see, this is about $250,000 less than what we had anticipated a few weeks ago. A lot of that was due to the earlier slides that we explained to you. That's still within 1/10% of expenditures. It's just as you're finalizing the budget. But again, we're still projecting at this point in time within the budget a $7 million increase or decrease before talking about the special education positions. Next steps is April 20th, approving the proposed final budget, followed up by a budget presentation on the final budget on Form PD 2028 on May 4th, the budget hearing on May 18th, and final approval of all of the related budget documents on June 1st, so we can get moving on property tax billings before the end of June. And then in conclusion, we talked about this before, we're not talking to you about a budget problem. We're talking to you about a budget challenge. We're still in a solid place, but there are challenges ahead of us and decisions that are going to need to be made over the course of the next year or years to make sure we stay in line and meet what our responsibilities are, not only from a district lens, but also from a state and federal lens. So within that, I will ask any questions and note that there are some appendices afterwards. If they raise any questions, I'll be happy to move to those slides as well. Questions? Jen?
In light of all of the public comment that we had today, and I know that, I mean, I personally absolutely love music, and, you know, you've sold me that we need a new, you know, music teacher for Delta, but I know, budgetly speaking, that's not our term, but anyway, what, for everyone who came who and spoke so passionately about something that they want, what do you see as a way, do you see that there is a way to accomplish something like that creatively without spending too much more money, or is that?
We'd have to work with our instructional leaders.
Okay.
Well, I actually had a similar question, so I was going to ask a request, so maybe this would be helpful to you. So in the past, there's often been questions about, well, so administration gets requests from all kinds of different departments of it would help us if we had a person to do this or to do that. And while I don't think it's appropriate necessarily for the board to see every single request that comes through to the administration, it may be that we make a request to have some sense of the top repeated requests or, you know, different things to try and give the community a sense of what the needs of the full district are. You know, there's different kinds of help that different people ask for. Because I think it's important, you know, we're bringing up special ed here this evening. Certainly, we've heard from the Delta community, their concerns about their need in their area, but the superintendent has heard from a tremendous number of departments about what their needs are, and those could be this large, right? And not everybody's aware of all that. So I think in this particular instance, it may be important that we have some sense of the scope of what some of the requests are, which ones are important, but the superintendent and his team have deemed might have to wait a little bit, and which ones they're funneling to bring forward as most pressing. Something along those lines was going to be a suggestion of mine, which may, I think, get at what you're asking as well.
Right, and can I didn't mean to suggest that I feel that we should forget everybody else's requests and just because music is awesome.
I didn't mean that at all.
No, I know.
From your comment. I just meant it's helpful to have that sense.
I know, but I think sometimes it's important to let everyone know that we can think about this creatively and we can find creative solutions, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like their voice is not being heard because you don't get exactly what you're hoping to get. And I think I just want that to be, you know, stated that I wanted to know if there was a way we could look at things creatively for this kind of a position, or any of the positions that we need to fill. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. As our business officers here have iterated, we have a finite budget. We ask each year across the school district what administrators feel that they need. And just to give you an idea of the requests, there was 26 different requests from across our 12 schools of administrators asking for certain positions. Obviously, we cannot fund 26 positions. As you can see right now, we're saying that we can only do certain very minimal to stay within the expenses or the revenues that we have, which is very small. We are really concerned about meeting our special education mandates, which is federally and state required. And there are people that come and audit us for those type of things and cite us if we are not in compliance with the numbers of special education enrollment that is coming towards us, which is extreme. we have, as a district, are underfunded that program on all levels. From the reports that I'm getting from administration, both from my directors, the high school, and just the people, which could result in lawsuits if you are not providing services for those particular students. And obviously, if we don't have essential courses, which is why we're talking about a science teacher for the middle school, because that is a core content area that all students have to have, it binds us. And the only way that you can get staffing for these type of positions is up your class sizes. And that results with teachers teaching more students. And we all know that we would like to keep our class sizes within our requirements, for the best educational experience for all students. Not to say that we're not going to look under every stone to try to fund and find ways to meet the needs, but it's really going to take some creative thinking processes to do so.
And Superintendent, doesn't this also, the current budget does not include any new agreement that would cover extra duty, extra pay? Because that's another group of our community that we've heard from is high school students with certain advisors for certain clubs, and their concerns about their ability to recruit advisors to serve large clubs with a lot of travel and other activities. And we're still working with our Teachers Association to find a resolution of that. But I think that's a really also important piece of information that we have to keep in mind, is that just like our teacher contract, which changes how our spending increases if and when we reach a new agreement, which we all agree is antiquated. It's over, Curtis, how old, 20 plus years since it's been adjusted, and we all agree that it's not fair for students or for the teachers managing those clubs to still be under the current situation. But we've got to find, it's part of the bargaining unit agreement, so it's not, it has to be bargained and negotiated and everybody has to agree, but that also will have impact once it's reached on our budget. At whatever point it's agreed on and approved, it will then have an impact on accelerating our costs as well. And I just want to add what you said about not only do we have a legal obligation to meet special ed students' needs under the requirements for ratios that are required, and also have a moral and ethical obligation to serve them, it also benefits all our students when our special ed students are well served. It makes when they're included within the mainstream classes, if their needs are well met, that makes that situation go better for all students. And it's important for all students to have that experience with their peers in those departments. So it's not just about serving those students, it's about serving our whole greater community. Those students deserve to be inclusive within our classrooms, and those classrooms go better when they have enough teachers to meet those students' needs well.
I don't want to drop this entirely, but is there a way we can find out what possible options might cost us, what we, if we do accommodate this request? Because I think, then we will know what we're talking about. I realize what constraints we are under legally for special ed and for other subjects like science, but I think we got to find out what this might cost us. There have been some options that I've seen suggested.
Well, I guess to follow up, I would wonder, maybe Mr. Downs John Downs can inform us, because I heard a request about ensembles as well, and I don't know how I can't speak to the structure of the Delta schedule, how that would fit in their day. So that's something I think Mr. Downs may need to price us.
Well, I can't presume to know that until he informs us. So
that's what I didn't say you should know. That's what I said, Jesse. I said we should ask for him to inform us whether that's even possible within the schedule.
Okay. Deb? And then Rebecca?
I just had a quick question on the .17 middle school teacher. That's obviously increasing somebody's duties. What is the class? And is it just one class at one middle school? Like I'm a little confused about how
Oh,
Yes, it is.
it's a
one
need
class.
at one school but not at the other schools.
Correct.
So how were we not covering that class before? Or are we offering a class that's not offered at the other schools?
So it's accelerated science. So it's a group of students that are moving up. They're actually, don't want to get this wrong.
They're doing earth science in
Yeah, they're
8th grade
they're
instead of at
accelerated
9th
ahead.
grade.
Yeah.
And so is that only happening at one of the middle schools, or are we covering that class at the other middle school in a different way?
So their
Chris is
courses
shaking her
are at both middle schools, the traditional middle schools, Park Forest Middle School and Mount Nittany. However, the need there with the shifting of the coordinator, we were able to make it happen that it would complement somebody else's schedule.
Okay,
Because we have a coordinator that's teaching one of the sections.
gotcha.
It's a .5.
As part of their assignment. Okay.
Yeah, Rebecca, go ahead.
Thanks. Hi. I don't have any questions for you, Jonathan. I email mine to you. I have two questions. So Curtis was talking about all the requirements that are needed for special education, and I know you have touched on this numerous times before, but can you just say that you presented it before that the growth of the funding on special education is not increasing with what we're getting from state and federal governments. And so a lot of that cost ends up, we have to pay more because we're getting less funding, right? Did I miss that on the slide? Sorry.
Yeah, I brought this, and I went through the slides quickly, so I apologize.
I
if it
really
wasn't
liked how
there.
fancy they were too, so they're very nice.
So our data is a little bit old, but it still definitely trends correctly. It's on slide 8.
Yep.
That 2020 special ed enrollment was 779 students.
Mhm.
In 2024, from the special ed report, it was 982 students.
Mhm.
That's a growth of 26% in terms of the number of students. But the Commonwealth funding went from 3.36 million to 3.66 million, which is about a 9% growth over that same time period. So you can see there's a 17% gap between
Yes.
those numbers.
Sorry, I missed that on that slide. And
And we're, sorry, if I could just
No, no,
add,
yes, please.
that the latest data, we're well over 1,000 students. Because that was from 2024.
Wow. And just my other question, just to make sure I understand what I'm looking at under the appendix. You don't have to go through all the slides, please don't. But the staffing comparisons, it's just like the loss or the change that we've had since 2017.
Mhm.
Is that positions we've removed? Is it like funding reason? What's the, what?
So it's just a net change. We tried to provide some comments on those schedules.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a decrease or an increase on a line and a corresponding decrease or increase on another line because, as an example, gifted teachers weren't broken out separately because the position names are actually by PDE groupings that we have to provide to them. So in 2017-18, they didn't break out gifted as a separate line. So those were in elementary and secondary teachers before. Some of them, we in technology, we added some more technical positions, but we reduced some paraprofessional positions. So those are just two examples of some of them are more of an offset than others, but special education teachers truly went up double digits by 19 teachers comparing those 2 years, and and that was comparing to this year.
Thank you. We've gone over these numbers many times, and I just for anyone else that's new to looking at all of your data.
Well, this
over
is
the years,
something that we have not done in this format before.
Hmm.
And it's very, very detailed. We tried to give a lot of detail because to talk about it at a higher level, it's not conversable very well. And so we wanted to, but we don't want to go through line by line. But I just wanted to give you some examples.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something real quickly too. If you notice with the back and forth, Jonathan is engaged, from his position. Curtis has been talking about special ed. Michelle came forward. The engagement from your budget heads has been that level throughout the district. So, this budget isn't coming from accounting. It isn't coming. It's a team effort, and everybody has pitched in, and they know their areas very well.
Jackie?
Yeah, small detail question, Joe, but for those special ed, where it says Commonwealth funding and gives me a number, is that just the funding from the state, or does that include the money from the federal government that also funnels through the state?
Just the state.
Just the state?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't think the IDEA funding went up anywhere near that.
It's been also flat. Yes, but I was just
Yeah, and
curious.
And even within the state, I think you pointed out, Joe, at our earlier budget discussion that I think that the state as a whole has only increased special ed funding to distribute throughout the entire Commonwealth by $50 million, not billion. $50 million has been the growth in the last 2 or 3 years. That's it. That's only been $50 million for all nearly 500 school districts across the state. So that's barely.
It's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money at all. Not with the growth of the population we see.
Other questions, comments?
Thank you for your questions and comments tonight. And we'll be continuing through our process, and there'll be different approvals yet to come, and then there'll also be the budget hearing as well.
I think we'll see you again on the 20th. Is that right? That's correct. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right. That concludes the committee of the whole portion of our meeting. As I mentioned hours ago, we now have time for additional public comment. Is there anyone here in person who would like to make a public comment? If you could please come up, state your name, where you reside in the district, and nope, apparently not. Anyone online who would, go right ahead. You will have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Okay. Hi, my name's Alana Novosel. I live in Hauserville. My son Owen is in 6th grade at Delta, and I know you heard a lot of comments tonight about students who have continued to take private lessons, parents are paying for it. My son Owen didn't want to take private lessons, which is really sad for us. We're not going to make him do that. He chose to play saxophone in 4th and 5th grade. And I don't know how he is so skilled at it because I rarely hear him practice at home. But he is definitely gifted when it comes to his musical ability. So it was really sad for us when he was really insistent upon not continuing. I think that some of that is because it's not as appealing when you're not able to do it with your peers. So it seems more of like something you have to do rather than something that you get to do. Growing up in State College, I know how fortunate the community is to have wonderful access to all sorts of resources. I was very fortunate growing up to have access to musical teachings. I went through the choir programs at the high school, and I guess things that occurred to me tonight sitting here that I hadn't thought about before are how sad I am to hear from students who spoke tonight, and how sad I am for myself and my son to know, well, my son won't really know, but getting into the high school, not being at the level that his friends who chose Mount Nittany might be at. And that's really sad to me because in so many ways he's already struggled so much. He has learning disabilities and has really struggled with how he sees himself. And music is something that he loves. And I've seen him really shine. He is in the choir program that's offered this semester, but there are really only, I think there are like 12 of them that are in that class because it's not offered to everyone. It's a class that you have to choose, and it has to fit into your schedule. So that's just something else that's not available to the students at Delta. And, you know, Delta was a choice for us, but one of the things we did discuss was the lack of music programs available to them. But for a student like my son, Owen, being a part of a community, being able to walk into his school, knowing that his teachers are valuing him because of his differences, it really is the reason why we chose Delta, because he needs to know that his wonderful way of doing things and the way his brain creates and communicates is wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Would anyone else? Yep. If you come up and state your name and where you are in the district.
Hi, everybody. Corey Blos. I'm in College Heights. Thank you for your time. And thank you to all the parents and children that came up and spoke today. I think their stories have shown, and the research they've done shown that the interest and the stats indicate that it's really clear what they said. And I think there's also a strong correlation between the kids that choose to go to Delta and choose to play an instrument. But I would like to come at this from a different angle. I spend my days as an associate research professor at the Applied Research Lab doing machine learning research, what has colloquially become known as AI. And what has happened in the last 5 years is pretty remarkable in what I'll refer to as AI, even though I'm talking about large language models. And I was listening to an interview recently where the head of research from Anthropic was talking about the lack of need for junior engineers, junior developers. And they're going to have just a few senior developers working with AI tools to do their development going forward. Unemployment rates for computer engineering, computer science grads in the 2024 census data have been at 7 and 8%. This is remarkably higher than some of the other engineering fields, whereas aerospace engineering is around 2%. And I say this because some of my friends ask me, knowing my background in research, what would I have my kids study? And I say, honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is whatever you study, I think you should choose music as well. That should be there, because I think people, if given the information and opportunity, will choose forever to appreciate and pay for human-made music. And I don't mean to spell out a dystopian future, because I just don't know what it looks like. But music is important. It's just as important as science. It's just as important as math, history, English, and these kids aren't being given that opportunity. So thank you for your time. And
thank you for your comment. Would anyone else? Yep. Sure. Come. Yep.
Thank you all again. I'll use like the minute I had left from the first time.
Just remind us of your name and where you are in the district.
It's Andy Mitchell in Pine Grove Mills.
Okay.
I wanted to respond to one specific question the board had about the Delta structure with music. And I think we talked a lot about ensembles, but I think there are a lot of other really cool opportunities that exist within like the Delta class framework, such as like a music composition class, where students could create music that other students could play in the class, or studying specific eras of music and really focusing on that. So I think the structure actually really facilitates some really creative opportunities in instrumental music. So I just wanted to add that we talked a lot about ensembles, but there's really a lot more that can exist. And I think the structure really would support a lot of really creative opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public comment this evening? Come on up. Tell us again who you are and where you're from.
Evelyn Bellinger, living in Park Forest. So I appreciate the board listening to everybody tonight. I think it's pretty astounding to see this many people come for a special cause within one school. A few things that I'd like to clarify that Ms. Black and Mr. Barlow raised was that we do recognize prior to tonight, and this was great at really bringing it to light and to surface for data recognition. However, we do understand the district's special need requests and the legalities behind that. As I mentioned earlier, While an FTE is preferred, we are looking for budget neutral options, which means redistribution of what's already in the SCASD program. Also, as I mentioned, between the fall, spring, and winter of just this year, there were 13 concerts between Park Forest and Mount Nittany Middle. That is a lot of concerts, that is a lot of time, that is a lot of music instruction. So whether that means distribution of a teacher coming to Delta Middle, or whether that means maybe one less thing is offered at Park Forest or Mount Nittany to make that redistribution look better, I think that's something for the board to consider as we're looking for budget neutral options within the district. I think that that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bellinger.
Thank you again for everybody listening.
All right. Is there anyone online who would like to make a public comment? Anybody else for a public comment this evening? Going once, going twice? All right. All right. I believe we're going to take a 5-minute break because we've been here a while. We will reconvene in 5 minutes. I would like to call the meeting back to order. We will move on to our consent agenda, which includes several items that we will address with a single motion for approval. To facilitate any questions or discussions, we'll go through each category individually. Board members, please raise your hand if you need clarification on any of the items as I present each group. Consent for approval of minutes. So many hands for that. Number 10, consent for operations. Yes, Ann?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
So that for the one about the award from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for the school security, I wanted to mention that that same grant allowed for our county to launch an initiative to support drivers with autism in police encounters. So it's amazing. And that was just announced. And so it was the same grant. And so it extends to drivers that our school might be teaching. And so I'll zip over to the police office and get some blue envelopes for the community education if they want it. But it's exciting news for our community. It fits.
With Autism Awareness Month.
Exactly,
All right.
and it fit the
Wonderful.
security grant, same thing.
And where was it written up in the, because it was in the local news. So
It was
people
in,
can,
yes, it was
can go
written in the Center Daily Times on April 2nd, 2026. So good news all around.
Excellent.
Thank
you, Ann. Any other comments, clarifications about operations? We have instructional programs, student travel. Usually not much for that. I would like now like to call for a motion to approve consent agenda items 9 through 11 as presented.
Damaris?
Demos?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any additional questions or discussion? Is there any public comment about tonight's consent agenda? No. All right. Board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Yay, consent agenda. All right. We are moving on to our action items. Agenda item 12A is a motion to approve equipment purchases for the Ferguson Township Elementary stormwater and playground updates. This is shown in attachment 12A. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Barlow?
Damaris, second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion about this item? Mike is at the table to answer any questions. Do you have a presentation for us? Maybe. All right.
Yeah, I'll just to take a couple minutes to go through, just so everybody understands exactly what that large sum of money is getting us.
Okay.
So here we have an overhead view of kind of the current playground, kind of spread out for the 5 smaller areas. It's all wood chips or, engineered wood fiber. Tough to maintain, especially with the stormwater challenges at this school. Just some pictures of kind of some of the apparatus that's currently in play. So just some notes here. We're looking at sort of having these like 4 or 5 or 6 smaller pieces of equipment spread out. It's more of like an inclusive, everything's a little bit tighter. So to help, with monitoring students, we're trying to stay with that kind of like that nature play. So we are incorporating some of those concepts, and we should note that, our color schemes kind of match that, as well as, recycled products. A lot of inclusive play, incorporated. One of the things that was a common theme at some of our public forums were swings. So we're making sure we're not eliminating any swings. And then that rubberized surface underneath, which you see in the local parks, really will give the kids a chance to get on that playground for more time throughout the year. And then there's the paved surface. We don't have to show all of like the hopscotch and the Foursquare painting yet, but there will be a track. And then we did incorporate kind of that quiet space or imaginative space kind of away a little bit, from all of the hustle and the bustle from the rest of the playground. So, so we heard, kind of incorporated a lot of feedback from a lot of different stakeholders here. So this is just kind of showing where that kind of an imaginative or quiet area would be the bottom right of the screen would kind of be the drive on the left-hand side of the school. Overview of kind of the structure. So the quiet area again would be kind of the bottom left-hand corner of the screen past the track. So this is really kind of some of the final the choices, right? This is what we're voting on tonight. The only difference or kind of thing up in the air is the actual color scheme of the poured in place surface. We're still going back and forth with some of the stakeholders at the school with that. But as far as the color scheme of the equipment and the equipment selections themselves, this is it.
Nice.
So getting into it, as I said, it's kind of this really large structure versus having all these tiny, smaller, separate pieces of equipment. There are a lot of inclusive items here as well. Some other things like you can see on the sides. These are kind of boards that have just kind of imaginative things. Balls and funnels and things to kind of play with and use their imagination with, right? Again, it's kind of the merry-go-round, similar to the old metal ones. Everybody here was probably used to. And again, swing sets, and really incorporating that inclusive play. Another view of it. Again, really kind of let the kids, use their imagination here. I think that's my last slide. So again, this equipment is what you're voting on. The only thing up in the air, kind of TBD, is the actual color of the poured and play surface down below.
Okay.
Questions?
Questions for Mike? Yeah, Rebecca?
First of all, thank you for taking so many comments that you've received over time and putting these into this work. The only question I have is on the swings, not just the swings, but in general. We've talked a lot about special education tonight and the increase in numbers. With every playground that you're doing, this one and the ones going forward, is more adaptive play spaces being included in all of them to make sure, like you had one adaptive swing up there. Like, is it just going to be one at each play set, or is that going to be two? Is it just to depend on the number of students at the schools?
Right. I think it would be school dependent, but I should note that this the spinner here is also adaptive, as well as what you're seeing in the forefront here is also adaptive, as well as the items on the side and the imaginative areas are also considered adaptive play as well. So it's pretty inclusive. I mean, I know you only see one swing, but there's a lot of other things going on.
Okay. Other questions for Mike? Yep, Deb.
Thank you for providing the detail. We appreciate that.
I should have. I was running short on time last week.
That's okay. I'm glad to have it now, and I'm glad we took the time to look at it.
Yep.
I just want to sort of confirm, because again, this is the first playground that we're doing, and over the course of time, we're planning to renovate all of them. So do we kind of look at this as basically a template for the type of structures and swings and activities that we would expect to be seeing at all the playgrounds?
As a basis of design, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, every playground is going to be very unique in its footprint. Here we have some different areas of room that we can use, right, and different topography. But yes, I think we'd like to kind of standardize at least somewhat, because going forward, parts, pieces of things we replace. It's always good from my perspective to help
The
standardize
idea
on
is just
that.
kind of standardize the types of activities to expect at the playgrounds.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks.
And again, this is from the feedback from the numerous meetings and stakeholder meetings that we've had. This is what we're putting forward, and hopefully everybody loves it. But if we need to make changes, we'll pivot.
And just to clarify, this is just for the equipment. It's not for the landscaping and the stormwater.
Correct. Correct. So there will be another piece of this that'll be bid. I think that's in the other memo. That for all the civil work.
Okay. And the zip line didn't make it in, I see, so. Other comments for Mike, questions? All right. In that case, thank you. Let's have a vote. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment about this item?
No.
All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 12B is a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with Patton Township for Park Forest Middle School project. This is shown in attachment 12B. May I have a motion and a second?
Have so moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Mike is with us, and Randy has joined us to talk about the new MOU.
So as you may remember, or as was also stated in the memo for tonight, there already has been an MOU with Patton Township. The reason for the second memo is not for a second traffic signal, but because the MOU is needed so that Patton Township will make a commitment to the PennDOT that they will pay for the installation and ensure that the installation of the traffic signal at the new location does occur, and they needed the commitment from the district before they would do that as well. Unfortunately, our further traffic study at Amblewood showed that the original traffic signal at Little Lion does not resolve enough of the traffic congestion at the two intersections. And so what we're looking at is moving the traffic signal to Amblewood. And then I will say that we included just late this afternoon, so you probably haven't had a chance to see it, but I have it up on the screen, the arrival circulation plan, and then also a dismissal circulation plan. It will take, through our work with the engineers, we have identified some staffing needs to help with the circulation plan, which we do similarly at the high school. We had not detailed those needs when we looked at Little Lion Drive, so I wouldn't say that it's significantly more. It seems more because we hadn't identified all of those potential needs. In this circulation plan at arrival, all traffic will arrive through Amblewood. There would be a traffic signal there so that going north or south on Valley Vista, all traffic would go into Amblewood. The buses would come in from the Amblewood intersection, loop around. They would then pull in to disembark the students and then go back out to Amblewood. Parent traffic as well as employee traffic would come around and loop into the upper lot or into what we call the lower lot. The students, we would try to get an operational plan that one grade level, because this is a little bit smaller of a lot, would arrive and depart here, while the other two grade levels would arrive and depart here. Traffic from this lot into this lot then could go back and exit out this west end of the parking lot, go back out through the property and out to the Amblewood lot. The Little Lion intersection would be gated off because we would not want conversion of traffic on the site. The gate will be located to the west of the private drive for that home because we cannot shut that off. There will be lots of signage to also guide folks onto and around the site. And for a period of, let's call it approximately 30 to 40 minutes each morning and afternoon, Little Lion would be gated off, and anybody that would be accessing Circleville Circleville Park would be highly recommended to access through the Circleville side and park and walk through the park. Obviously, we can't stop them from coming in Amblewood with all of the school traffic, and then they could still get to their access point to the parking lot here near the school parking lots. But we would highly recommend against that. Again, I do have the slide here for the departure. Again, everybody would come in Amblewood, parents would come over and stack in the different lots. There would need to be conage as well as signage so that traffic could park in all of the available spots or pathways in the upper parking lot and then up against the school, as well as in the lower lot up against the sidewalk. We did watch a video from today that our engineers found. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to paint a rosy picture. This is not going to be smooth. I understand that. But a very similar pattern does occur, and there's a YouTube video for a Mechanicsburg Middle School that you could look at. But we have again, I didn't think that if I did have to build another school here while I was employed, that I would have to do it on a postage stamp site. This is another postage stamp size site. And so there's going to be a lot of traffic with an increased number of parents that are driving and picking up their students at school compared to what it was 10 and 20 years ago. We just can't accommodate all of that traffic very easily. There just has to be a period of understanding that it's going to be deadlock. And we'll just have to manage that and operate that with some additional staffing, with signage, with paint markings, with cones. We don't have it all figured out, but we do have some plans laid out at this point in time.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions?
Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, just tiny clarification, but it looks like those hash marks in the middle of Valley Vista, are those like proposed a median essentially, so then to create a left turn lane onto Amblewood?
Those are turning lanes.
Okay.
On Valley Vista?
Yeah. Like I see the turning lane, but then the little hash marks are like a proposed median?
Oh,
Valley Vista?
it's not a closed median. I think it'd be road markings for.
Okay.
But this design may not be completely final yet because once it gets to PennDOT, they may need to keep the road the same width and then just have, a closed lane.
All right. Thanks for the clarification.
So the intent is that you approve this. Patton Township is expected to approve the MOU on Wednesday night. We get this submitted with the revised traffic plan to PennDOT. Once PennDOT approves, then the original MOU would at least be modified, if not go away completely. There will also be some traffic and land development requirements that have yet to be determined or yet to be confirmed in the land development plan, that will be a process going through Patton Township that we're trying to work very quickly through as well.
Okay. Rebecca?
So I will have a child in this when we're here.
Is she on a bus loop?
No, I assume she will be because everyone.
Do you live east of the Valley Vista?
I do now.
I'm asking to prove a point. Yes, she'll be on a bus route.
So I'm an eighth of a mile from the middle school right now, like down the hill. My kids walk uphill both ways to school. So does this take into account kids that are walkers and going to cross the street somewhere?
There will not be walkers assigned. If families choose to have a student walk, the expected crossing would be at the traffic signal.
Okay. Right now, Park Forest Middle School is a mess when it comes to pickup every day. The pool parking lot and going up that hill is messy. We're not allowed to park in the school parking lot. I had a daughter on a scooter for most of last year, and so we had to park at the school and do drop off and pick up because of the buses, and so we had to wait till after, we had to wait till before. How I assume it's operational and you're going to have to figure it out later. But how are you going to get the buses in there and the amount of people that are going to drive? Because there's probably going to be a lot of people that are still driving because they're driving now to Park Forest and it's a neighborhood school. And then parents are going to park at Circleville to pick up their kids to avoid this mess.
Do you mean the lot that is right here?
Oh, no. The one up by the playground. They're going to have the kids walk over there and take the bus. So that is going to become an overflow parking lot that is then going to...
Please don't say that out loud because the park people will really get irritated.
It will not become an overflow parking lot at all. at all.
Ever.
So,
Well, it's a public ground.
yep, yeah.
You know, we're going to have to work really hard I think, in this location to stop the public from being on the school property,
Right, yeah,
even during school hours. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
we have a lot of our signs that we do now.
yeah.
So yes, there are a lot of operational issues. As I said, I'm not trying to paint this as a rosy picture at all. And you have not mentioned anything yet that we haven't already thought of, either us, the township, or any of the engineers.
And what happens to the walkway that is between the walking path that's between Little Lion and Amblewood? Will that still be able to be there?
Little Lion.
So the paved paths that they have there now?
Oh,
the
yes.
bike path?
That
Bike
will,
path?
that will stay, that
That
will
was
stay.
nothing
Oh,
will go
yes.
over there. Okay, I wasn't sure because you were talking about, you weren't sure if the road was widening or
Little
if that
Lion is widening.
Oh, okay, but Valley Vista,
But
I thought you were talking
Valley,
about.
I'm sorry, Valley Vista is widening, yes. But the shared youth path, oh, yes.
It'll just eat up into some of that grass space that's over there, probably. Okay,
Or go to the other direction.
okay. I'm
I should
sorry.
note, this looks
Yeah.
congested.
Yeah.
I was actually impressed by the flow and the circulation of the video we watched. It was Mechanicsburg, right? Pretty quick. And this is also vetted by our SRO out there who liked the circulation plan. We're committed to staff it accordingly to keep people moving. And also, the timing of the lights, we're looking at adjusting that green during dismissal and arrival, so it's a little bit longer, right, to get everybody out and off the site. Arrival shouldn't be an issue. It's departure. It's the stacking of the cars.
Okay, I don't envy you at all.
I'm
Try to-
very optimistic.
I appreciate your optimism, and
I am too, very.
Randy is very optimistic.
You are very, very optimistic. I appreciate your work with Patton Township, that Patton Township and you all are working together to try to figure out the best options for the postage stamp that you're building on. And the kids all appreciate it. My eighth grader is really mad at how beautiful this new school looks. So I appreciate all the work you're doing. My optimism is not at your level yet.
Think of all the great stories your eighth grader will be able to tell other people in the future.
Yeah, Deb?
Thanks. I have two questions. Just on the flow, you're separating the 6th and 7th grade drop-off and pickup from the 8th grade drop-off and pickup.
And that's just a proposal right now,
Yeah.
but one grade and 2 grades just because of the
Totally
size of it.
fine. The font is very tiny.
Yep.
But I believe two things are happening simultaneous in the intersection of Little Lion Drive and the entrance to call it the upper parking lot. One says 6 and 7, I'm looking at the departure.
Okay.
One says 6th and 7th grade student pickup will turn left. And the other says no left turn Monday through Friday, 7:15 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 4:15 p.m. So in order to turn into that lot to pick up whatever kids are getting picked up in that lot that's a little bit further to the left, you're going to have to turn left across the traffic that's coming out from having already picked up their student.
I think it means.
Can you, do you understand it better?
It's the people who are heading south directionally on this page cannot turn left onto Little Lion Drive. That's what that
Yes.
no left. So
Yes.
when they're exiting, when they picked
parking
up their
lot.
kid and are leaving, they're not allowed to turn left. They must
You have
go
to do-
right.
Yes.
to
Okay.
exit.
Well, and I mean, if I'm reading this flow right, they're actually not even going to flow back out. They're going to enter at that spot, but they're going to exit
Correct.
further to the left.
But once the traffic dies down,
Then, okay.
then the employees that are parked in the lot could
Have
come
options.
out.
Gotcha.
They would have options. They wouldn't have to get stuck in that line.
Right.
And so they could come out and go right and come out Amblewood.
And if they leave after 4:15 p.m., they could come out and leave out of Little Lion Drive.
Correct. Once
Okay.
the gate is open.
Great. So that's my first question. Thank you. That was very helpful, Jackie, because I was having a hard time understanding that. And the traffic light, Jackie pointed out, we think there's going to be a left turn lane. What's the chance of there being a left turn arrow in the light to go with the lane?
That I don't think has been discussed at all. At least I've not retained that.
Okay.
I would hope that there is.
Yeah, I know.
With a lane.
We hoped that there was going to be one at Westerly too, but different roads, as we've discussed.
Correct.
So, okay, so that's still a possibility that
yeah, I
there might
don't
actually
remember.
be a protected left turn.
Correct.
Okay. Both going off, I guess it's Valley Vista there,
On and off of Valley
and
Vista.
getting on. Okay, thank you.
Jen, go ahead.
What? So the Little Lion will be blocked off. What happens? I mean, I know we could do tons of what if scenarios, but if there was an emergency situation at arrival or dismissal.
Well, there's going to be staff, so we'll get it taken care of.
Okay, but I didn't like. It's not a Little Lion Drive is not like going to be blocked off in such a way that it can't be easily unblocked if there was an
It
emergency.
can be a gate,
Okay.
just like we have gates at Mount Nittany.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, Amy?
Yeah, I appreciate the planning that the team is doing and the proactive work to, again, for the community to really understand, hire and pay staff to manage traffic. So I think as the leaders in our community, we have to be talking about the need for our families to use the bus system. I do wholeheartedly understand why Ferguson Township, some people have raised questions about what happens when people show up. But we need to have some really serious conversations, and I think this is a district-wide need with all of our families about utilizing buses when they can, for a variety of reasons. There are certainly huge environmental reasons, but also safety. We've had some problems at other buildings about safety because of parent pickup and bad behavior at pickup lines. And I haven't picked up my kids in several years, fortunately, but I can remember it being very bad before. And from what I hear from parents, it's gotten worse incrementally, year by year by year. And we don't need a tragedy. I have a local friend, actually an employee within the district, who had a former close family member die in West Virginia, a teacher or a coach, I forget which, in a traffic accident at a school during pickup and drop off. And tragically, I think it was a young person that was the driver. And that's just something that we don't need to have happen. So we talk about having forums and other things, and I think this is something that's our responsibility to lead on. There are other it's a social escalation across the country. It's a big discussion everywhere, and legally we're required to have buses for all students, and we're having to spend that money, and it's not a good use of taxpayers' money to go and spend their own money on gas, which is escalating in price, to then drive their kids to school if they're able to send their kids on the bus. So I think as a community, we have to start talking really aggressively about how it benefits everyone. I do understand that there's occasional circumstances with certain families, certainly with I had a kid too with an injury for a period of time where I needed to get him to the front door, but those should be the exception, not the rule. And it's something we should talk about. Like, that's part of our job as the board, is to try and lead the community and encourage them to do things that help our staff and school workers do their jobs. So that's all I wanted to say. It's something I feel really strongly about, and I've talked about a lot of other times too. So,
Rebecca.
Speaking of budget and hiring and increased costs, if we're going to put more people on buses, do we then have to have drivers? And do we have enough drivers right now in the district for the buses we currently have?
I don't know what the difference between the number of students that ride versus the number of students that are assigned. But not trying to be a naysayer, Amy, but no matter how much education we do, I think it would take a lot of students riding the buses more regularly for us to need more buses. because there are quite a number of buses that are filled less to capacity. But I don't know the answer to that, quite honestly. That's just my assumption.
All right.
But regardless of the number of parents that are driving, regardless the number of employees that are driving without carpooling, if they are able or not, regardless of the number of buses that we are planning for, we're also under constraints that the township and the police department are asking us to consider in this plan. So it's multifaceted, and we haven't talked about who's revising what and recommending what, but Mike did review this plan with our SRO, which is a Patton Township police officer, and he provided some comments but was very supportive of the plan.
Can you send us the link for the Mechanicsburg video just so we can take a look at what that looks like? And were they about the same school size as what?
I think the school size, yes. The one difference that we noticed was that it appeared that the parking lots were much emptier, or at least one of the parking lots was much emptier of cars than the other. So I don't know what that meant. I don't understand. I don't know those specifics, but yeah, we can send that to the board.
All right. Any other comments or questions? In that case, board members in favor, please say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment about this item, sir? No. All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 12C is a motion to approve furniture, fixtures, and equipment, FFE, for Mount Nittany Elementary School expansion project. This is shown in attachment 12C. May I have a motion and a second? Miller, so moved.
Damaris,
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mike, would you like to tell us what FFE is?
Furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Thank you. All right, excellent. Short and sweet. Any questions for Mike?
Mike, are hard helmets included, like hard hats included with that? Will you have those like hanging around for people? Is that
have
part of the
plenty.
fixtures?
I have plenty.
Okay, he's got enough comments. School's done, we got to put stuff in it. Very good. Is there any public comment about this item, sir? All right. In that case, all board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 12D is a motion to approve the purchase of additional athletic equipment for the football program. This is shown in attachment 12D. May I have a motion and a second?
Anderson, so moved.
Huff second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion about this item? Yes, Amy? Randy, we need you.
Don't run away.
We are talking about the purchase of additional athletic equipment for the football program.
I know I sent a question. No, it's okay. I know I sent a question, and I know you shared information. So and I appreciate that. So maybe most of what I'm going to say is more of a comment than a question.
Okay.
But because some of what you shared by message isn't part of the original memo, I just want to make sure that it's straightforward. So my understanding is we are making the decision to purchase new helmets based on the fact that there was a study that indicated a decreased rating for the helmets we currently used. Is that correct?
No. There's a new helmet. I don't look at it the way you said it, Amy. I look at it, there's a new helmet available with a higher rating.
Yes, but were these helmets due to be replaced?
Yes, because they didn't meet safety standards. Through the reconditioning process. We replace our helmets through reconditioning. These didn't pass reconditioning, they're getting replaced, and instead of buying the same level that we have, we're buying the newer model that's available.
Okay, and I understand, and I appreciate the consciousness about expenditures. And I appreciate that you consulted with the athletic trainers in making the decision to only partially replace with higher quality rated helmets. I personally have a lot of thoughts about tackle football, and I think that CTE is a really frightening and concerning issue. And I think that, unfortunately, we don't understand why some people are more at risk to develop CTE than others. And we know that there is evidence of young players who have only played at young ages who eventually develop CTE at young ages, at 20 years old, and commit tragedies. And so, personally, I'm uncomfortable that if we feel that a higher rated helmet is important to protect students, if we're going to have football, I just question whether we should have that at all places. And I understand what you shared and that the rating is considered to be acceptable. For me, I just have to sit here and state that if we think we need safer helmets, then any student playing tackle football needs safer helmets, in my opinion. And that's all I'll say, and we can leave it at that.
There's just one piece that I don't think I included in the email that I probably learned after it was sent, the response, and that is that some of the helmets that will be able to be no longer used are going to be replaced with the cascading with a safer helmet, a higher rated helmet. So we are still increasing even some of the lowest level of helmet that we've been using that has still been proven to be safe for our students.
Okay.
All right. Other questions? Okay. Is there any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was belated in it, raising my
That's fine.
hand because I was processing. This ask right now is for how many helmets? If the total expenditure is $15,138.95, but it doesn't say how many helmets are getting replaced. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I think that Joe has that information. He just
Great.
doesn't have it with the email.
That's fine. We've been here this late. We can wait another minute.
Can I make a quick public comment while he looks this up? Just to help roll things
Yep.
along?
You got to go. Yeah. Yes.
I'll come over here. I'll be real fast. I know it's getting late.
Certainly.
Hi, I'm Benji. I'm from Pennsylvania Furnace. While they're looking this up, I just wanted to throw a lot of support behind the concussion concern and the athletic training department at State High. My nephew got a concussion wrestling. They were so great with him, super on the safe side of everything. There was never a push to get him back into competition. There was never a push to try to get him to do stuff. There was a push to get him to do less. Get better first, get better first, get better first, then let's do a thing. So I really have a lot of faith in the equipment that we have, the people that are supporting the equipment. Just wanted to give a big thumbs up to the athletic department in this area.
All right. Thank you for your comments, sir. Thank you.
Let's get some helmets and take some breaks.
Looks like it's about 36.
Okay. So I guess to go back to Amy's question, is the reason we're buying new helmets because this new one is available and we want to upgrade to safer helmets? Or is it that it's time to buy some new helmets, and of course we would buy the newer model available whenever it's available?
Every year we have to send our helmets in for reconditioning.
Correct.
Some do not pass every
Correct.
year.
And then
Those
we
are the
replace
ones that we are replacing, and we are choosing to replace with the newer model.
Okay. And there is some governing body, like the PIAA or something, that tells us what are acceptable helmets. I'm not a doctor and I don't run these tests.
Right.
I would love to do this in a cost-effective way, but I share a little bit Amy's concern. Do we have some governing body that's telling us these are the acceptable helmets that you can buy and the ones and everything that we're using is on that acceptable list?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know who that body is, but I understand that there is a safety rating provided by someone, and our athletic trainers, in addition to our coaches and athletic directors, are weighing in as well.
And they all feel comfortable with this purchase
Yes.
and this process. Thank you. I just think it's important to
Close
have
the loop.
everybody know that. Thanks.
Rob, go ahead.
Again, this is similar to the concerns over concussion. A lot more of my students are coming in on their way to practice to class with guardian caps attached to their helmets. Is this part of something that State College is recommending for the athletes, or is this a personal choice that
A guardian cap?
it's like an inflatable cap that goes on the outside of the helmet?
I've seen them on some of the NFL helmets, and I've been to a few state high football games. I've not seen anybody utilizing it.
So I know the college players that come into my class some of them now are opting to put these guardian caps over the outside of their helmet as well for that concern. So, okay, thanks.
All right. Any further comments or questions? Is there any additional public comments, sir? All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I needed.
Okay. Agenda item 12E is a motion to approve the purchase of various musical instruments and supplies for use throughout the district. This is shown in attachment 12E. May I have a motion and a second?
Damaris?
Huff so moved. Huff seconded.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Of course, the music people left already. Are there any questions or discussion about this item? Yes.
I have already mentioned this to Randy. I'm the SCASD Ed Foundation representative. And for any public that may be watching that thinks, I would like to make a donation to the school district and I'd really like to support music in the schools. If you would like to make a donation to support one of these purchases, we can facilitate that through the SCASD Ed Foundation.
Okay.
Something to think about.
I like that. Other questions? I assume euphorium is euphonium? Okay. All right. I don't know what a euphorium is. Is there any public comment about this item, sir? All right. In that case, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Our final action item of the evening, or agenda item, is item 12F, a motion to approve the 2026-2029 Special Education Plan. This is shown in attachment 12F. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Barlow.
Huff second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or discussion about this?
Very quickly, I just want to reiterate what Heather told us, that this is called a plan, but it's really more of a snapshot of like where we were at a single point in time. So it doesn't really have a lot of bearing in like the other discussions. Like it does have bearing, but like understand it's a snapshot, not like a plan,
Yeah.
even though it's called a plan.
And this was the presentation that we got several meetings.
At our last meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And thanks to Amy for pointing that out.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I'd like to add that we talked about last time, but I think is really, really important to our discussions related to the budget and other things, is that our community has made the decision to have neighborhood elementary schools. So we have a large number of elementary schools, and that results in a need for staffing for special ed at each building. And depending on the population of students that come into that building, there are 3 categories that make up the caseload for special ed teachers. So one category is autistic support, and those have really, low ratios, so 1 to 8, 1 teacher for each 8 students. They can only carry that many students. And then for learning support, it's which would be things like math and reading disabilities and such like that, like dyslexia, dyscalculia, all those other things. Their ratios, they can carry a much higher caseload. And then there's emotional support caseloads. And I forget the ratio for that, but it falls certainly towards the smaller side. And so it's tricky to figure out how many and what type of cases one teacher can carry. And so adding just one autistic student to a building can tip caseload's way out of whack very quickly. If a teacher's at like a 0.8, then they may not be able to take on that student or 0.9. So it's very tricky. It's not as simple as like just having one FTE special ed teacher at every building. It doesn't work that way. And that's partly, you kind of can get a sense of that through some of the building sections there, but that's what makes it really difficult as we look at staffing. So I just wanted to repoint that out because I think it's an important part of our discussion as we move forward, looking at this population and the budget moving forward. Thanks.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Not that we have anyone to answer.
Were there any comments from the directors or that they wanted to share? Or I didn't know if they were, I know it's rather late, so.
They're online.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, yeah, it's Heather Pringle. I'm here online. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to, kind of reiterate what Amy had shared. And then, as CJ said earlier this evening during the proposed budget presentation, as a larger team, we are just monitoring the projected enrollment and our current enrollment to best determine, how we're going to move forward as we prepare for the upcoming school year. But yeah, definitely a lot of moving pieces and parts. It definitely takes a big team to support this department. So we appreciate all of you guys for your support. And if you have any questions, we can answer them.
Yeah, Rob, go ahead.
Guess because I'm new to this, but one of the age ranges I noticed is up to 22. How old are students in special education in State College?
That's a great question. Yeah, so the students can now stay until their 22nd birthday.
Okay.
Yep. So that changed 2 years ago. It used to be until the year they turned 21, they were able to stay for that full academic year. And it recently just changed until the drop date of their 22nd birthday.
Okay.
And that's a state requirement.
Got you.
All right. Other comments? Questions? Is there any public comment on this item? Going once, going twice. All right. Board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Heather. That concludes our agenda for this evening. I do want to make one correction to event that is coming up. The donations for the free spring clothing drive at Easterly Parkway Elementary will take place, let's see, donations can be dropped off at the blue side of the school on Friday, April 17th from 3:10 to 7 p.m. and on Saturday, April 18th from 8 to 9 a.m. That's the correction. Thank you for that. Yeah. Looking ahead to future meetings, we have on April 20th, 2026, a regular board meeting here in Panorama Village at 7 p.m. On April 21st, 2026, we have Policy Development Committee at 10:30 a.m. here in the Panorama Village boardroom. I would now like to adjourn the meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors to an executive session. Have a good evening, everyone.